our giveaway. Or visit NissanofSt. Charles.com for complete details. Nissan of St. Charles, located on North Avenue in the heart of St. Charles. Or visit us online at NissanofSt. Charles.com. Nissan of St. Charles. Experience the difference.
5:08. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. That update comes this morning from Jim Talamonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. Traffic is now moving well on the inbound Kennedy. We had some delays from Canfield to before Harlem. The overnight work is gone. The two left lanes, so it's 20 minutes either way between O'Hare and downtown. West side, do have a crash on Damon and Ogden. There are a lot of ramp closures on I-55, including at 53, 83, and at Lakeshore Drive, and all the ramps have now reopened after the overnight closures. And elsewhere at the moment, things look good on the expressways and tollways. Traffic is a service of Al Pamati Ford. Stop. Before you buy your new car, you must visit Al Pamati Ford now. Truckloads of new cars and trucks have just arrived, and everything is priced to sell quickly. Al Pamati Ford is at 25th and North Avenue in Melrose Park. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, a shower or thunderstorm in spots early. Otherwise, it will be hot with intervals of clouds and sunshine, becoming less humid for the afternoon, high 92, partly cloudy and warm tonight, low 69. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
69 at O'Hare's, 70 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 5:30. Continuous news coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, unsurprisingly, we learned a lot about the shooting in Arlington, Virginia that wounded House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, Republican from Louisiana, as well as two Capitol Police officers, as well as a congressional staffer.
As well as a lobbyist from Tyson Foods.
And then the additional injury, we were going back and forth yesterday, conflicting reports. Roger Williams, a Republican congressman from Texas, his leg was injured, but it was not as a result of shooting. It was trying to get out of the way, jumping into the dugout on the baseball field or what have you. So,
but his congressional aide was injured.
Right.
He's one of the five, too. So
that's right.
No, not life-threatening conditions, but the congressman, he's in critical condition this morning. His wounds are much different than we previously thought because he had internal organ damage.
Right. Shot in the pelvis, but that resulted in internal bleeding. Of course, gunshot wounds, a catastrophic injury. And so the report out of AP last night was multiple additional surgeries will be needed for Scalise. President Trump visited Scalise by his bedside.
And Melania.
And why don't we start with the top with what the president had to say yesterday in response to the shooting.
Congressman Scalise is a friend, and a very good friend. He's a patriot, and he's a fighter. He will recover from this assault. And Steve, I want you to know that you have the prayers not only of the entire city behind you, but of an entire nation and, frankly, the entire world. America is praying for you, and America is praying for all of the victims of this terrible shooting.
And then Trump had a particular message for those Capitol Hill police officers that shot and killed the shooter yesterday.
Our brave Capitol Police perform a challenging job with incredible skill, and their sacrifice makes democracy possible.
And I'll tell you what, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody yesterday. One of Illinois Congressman Rodney Davis.
Yeah, he was at bat when the shooter took to the field.
Exactly.
And he was being interviewed yesterday, and he still had blood on his shirt.
I tried to get a hold of him, then I realized they confiscated all the cell phones. So he didn't even have a cell phone yesterday. But one thing that I learned is that Steve Scalise is the House Majority Whip.
Right.
So he has a security detail.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only reason Capitol Hill police officers were there. And Steve Scalise rarely makes those practices.
Right. He's been playing on the team since 2008, but he doesn't show up for all the practices.
It doesn't show up for most of them.
Right.
Rarely makes it. So this was,
a gift from God.
Well, right. It was just happenstance that Scalise showed up, and thus the security detail in tow. So you had 2 police officers there to respond, to return fire, to respond with deadly force against the deadly threat that they faced. Otherwise, you had a bunch of members of Congress and aides and lobbyists and the rest of those Republicans on that Republican congressional baseball team that were sitting ducks who would have had to either try and flee to escape or pick up a bat or somehow bum rush the shooter. It could have been so much worse than it was. Just wanted people to understand that.
Yeah, and Senator Rand Paul said that to Lester Holt last night.
The irony is, Congressman Scalise was the one who suffered, but had he not been there, his detail team wouldn't have been there either. It would have been a disaster.
So, and also Texas Representative Joe Barton, he was obviously really shaken by this, but he had 2 sons there watching the practice. He's managing the team, Dan, so he wasn't playing and warming up, but he's the leader of the team. So one of his sons hid under an SUV and the other one ran into the dugout.
Scalise's security detail and the Capitol Hill Police immediately began to return fire.
And his sons they looked just shell-shocked when they're standing next to their dad being interviewed, because most of them went from the baseball diamond to the Hill, still wearing their uniforms, just, looking in shock, as any of us would be if we were in that similar situation.
So we found out a lot about the shooter, who was dead as well, was from Belleville, Illinois. I have a special place in my heart for Belleville because the Belleville News-Democrat was the only newspaper to endorse me when I ran for governor.
Really?
That's true.
I know one person who didn't vote for you. Hodgkins probably didn't, because he's a liberal. I mean, he volunteered for Bernie Sanders. He wasn't a paid volunteer, but helped out during his campaign.
Yeah, his Facebook page, the masthead, is a picture of Bernie Sanders, and that, along with the fact that he volunteered for his campaign, worked in the Quad Cities, prompted Bernie Sanders to take to the Senate well yesterday and offer this.
Madam President, I have just been informed that the alleged shooter at the Republican baseball practice this morning is someone who apparently volunteered on my presidential campaign. I am sickened by this despicable act, and let me be as clear as I can be. Violence of any kind is unacceptable in our society, and I condemn this action in the strongest possible terms.
The shooter, I don't like to use the name, and I won't use the name. Other people can, other news outlets can. You can find out what the name is. It's irrelevant. He's irrelevant.
Is he really irrelevant? Because some of his neighbors they understand why he did what he did.
His name is irrelevant, and remembering him is irrelevant, not what he did is irrelevant. And, by the way, if you listen to psychologists on the matter of these mass shooting incidents, they will tell you that the profiling, raising the profile, repeating the name, offering coverage of the individual obsessively encourages others that have a marginal connection to mental health to do the same. So,
I just don't understand how.
That's my point.
He still has his home in Belleville, Illinois, but he moved out a few months ago and has been living in his white van down by the YMCA where the shooting happened. And no one thought anything was wrong with that. No one went up and questioned him. I mean, even the mayor of Alexandria, Virginia, would run into him at the YMCA.
It's probably been at least more than a month and a half, probably less than 2 months that when I first met him. I'd see him down in the locker room.
That's the mayor of Alexandria, Virginia. And other people said he'd sit there and stare at his computer, at his laptop all day, then go back to his car and sleep. And
wouldn't the more interesting question to be to his wife to understand what she thought he was doing for 2 months living out of a van?
Well, he was a
in
home
Alexandria,
inspector. Yeah.
in Alexandria, and then communicating, because he did communicate to her. He communicated to her that he was going to come home because he missed her and the dogs. So, honey, why are you living in a van in Alexandria for the last 60 days?
I know. And then also the only incident that he had with the law was a few months ago. He was firing off about 50 rounds in his backyard, and neighborhood kids are outside playing. So
that's not the only incident with the law.
All right, well, that's when sheriff's deputies, that's the last time they had contact with him, when they went to his house and told him to stop, and he said, I will, and he went inside.
March 24th is the incident you're referring to, and here's the neighbor. His name is actually relevant because he's a law-abiding citizen. William Shamlaffel from Belleville, recounting the incident you referenced.
I saw a man with a gun. Yeah. He was the one that was making noise because I saw him fire. When he started firing across the field. You think it was Hodgkinson? I hadn't any idea. Well, whoever lived there, I figured that's who it was, sure. Yeah. But I didn't know that was his name at the time. I didn't know his name until today when I had the car over getting it serviced, and she called up and says that's this guy up here. She recognized his name because he had a sign out in his yard that said something about he was a house inspector or something. Yeah. And I never ever paid any attention to the sign out there. I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't really care.
Pretty shocking to have somebody next door to learn.
Yeah, we see all this. Like San Francisco had something went on there today.
But it was probably not a shotgun though.
No, it wasn't no shotgun.
Yeah, no. You thought it was a 45.
That's what it sounded like. It was loud. That's the idea.
Except you think it was a rifle. He had it.
Well, then when he pointed across the field, boom, boom, boom,
Do you ever look your way?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Like I say, I yelled and you can see my voice is really loud.
Yeah.
So that's the neighbor recounting, that incident, and the, so there's some questions for local police today as well.
Well, if you read all of his past Facebook postings, I mean, he belonged to a number of anti-Republican groups. He despised President Trump. I mean, did you look out? We don't have time to go through all of his
Trump is a
Facebook
traitor.
postings.
Trump has destroyed our democracy. It's time to destroy Trump and company, for example.
One of the last time, remember when his cabinet was praising him the other day? He said, I want to say, Mr. President, for being a blank hole, you are truly the biggest blank hole we have ever had in the Oval Office.
FBI agents removed a chicken and chief poster from the van that the shooter was living in. He's written a number of letters to the Belleville News-Democrat, which they republished yesterday. There is a lot there on this individual, and of course, it prompts all of the questions that we will ask, and we will answer, and we will take your answers. 312-642-5600 after this.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, your phone calls and the 2015 Facebook post that referred to the Louisiana congressman who was shot yesterday. But first, here's your forecast. A thunderstorm in spots early this morning. Otherwise, we're going to have sunny conditions, a high of 92 degrees. And tomorrow, watch for a severe afternoon thunderstorm. Otherwise, warm and some sun, a high in the 80s. So at least that's good news. Now let's get into our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. Inbound I-57, a little heavy now. Halstead to the Ryan, 17 minutes. I-80 to the merge. It's about a 2-minute delay. Bishop Ford, you've got a 1 or 2 minute delay starting at Cottage Grove. And the Ryan is a little sluggish, 18th into the Burn Circle. Eden's, Kennedy just fine. There were some earlier roadwork delays in the Kennedy, Canfield, and Harlem, but that's all cleared now. The Eisenhower is good. Inbound Stevenson, little congestion now approaching Lakeshore Drive. Otherwise, things are still fairly quiet. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do on this show, our Illinois Rising program, Sundays at 3 p.m. on these airwaves. We podcast at upstream-ideas.com, covering state of Illinois politics and policy, including this week, this compromised budget that state Republicans rolled out yesterday. Long-form interviews are against the current series, this week featuring State Senator Dan McConkey, freshman Republican from Hawthorne Woods, on the state budget and his proposal of a constitutionally balanced budget that does not raise taxes. Long man on the street interviews in our Follow the Logic segment. New series we're rolling out, Heart of the Matter, with women discussing, colleague to colleague, the salient public policy issues of the day. 60-second commentaries from yours truly this week on Comey. 2-minute warnings about bad actors in public office, dollars and cents about how your money is being spent by your local and state elected leaders. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
Need a new CPAP? Then we need you. We're CPAP.com, and we recently overstocked the world's best CPAP machines. Top-of-the-line devices from brands like ResMed and Philips Respironics. Call now and get one of these overstocked CPAPs for a fraction of the price. We'll even give you free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-600-5909. The best part? No insurance needed. We're giving out these CPAPs at prices so low, they'll cost less than your copay and deductible through insurance. CPAP.com has shipped over 1 million orders and has the world's largest selection of CPAPs and accessories. With no retail overhead or costly middlemen, we're the best way to get comfortable, effective sleep apnea equipment at incredibly low prices. Again, CPAP.com has overstocked premium CPAPs. Call now to get a ResMed or Philips Respironics machine for a fraction of the price with free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-600-5909. Hurry. When these overstocked CPAPs are gone, they're really gone. That's 1-800-600-5909.
Thinking of getting engaged to that special person in your life? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I've got the perfect place for you. Visit my friends at Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler in downtown Libertyville. Roland's Jewelers has a beautiful selection of engagement rings, and they're a direct diamond importer. That means wholesale prices on quality loose diamonds. Roland's is also the perfect place to shop for an anniversary or birthday gift. Roland's offers a large selection from designers like Hearts on Fire, Simon G., John Hardy, and Roberto Coin. Their knowledgeable and friendly staff can show you quality switch watches like Tag Heuer, Michel, and Longines. Roland's Jewelers is well known for excellent customer service. These guys are the best, including custom designs and jewelry repairs by their expert craftsmen. Let Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville make all your special occasions memorable. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. It's ROLLANDS, RolandsJewelers.com, or call them 847-918-7300. Roland's, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy talking about the Alexandria, Virginia shooting and updating you with the information as we know it at this point, and including about the shooter.
Yeah, can I tell you about that Facebook posting? In 2015, he depicted a cartoon character showing Scalise and said, this guy's getting a raise and he's staying in Washington. Wrong decision. So that was 2015. So, apparently he knew who the minority House whip was.
Let's take a few calls. Frank in St. Charles, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. With all this talk about security, I think maybe it's time for these congressmen to consider concealed carry, and you might have to protect yourself. I have it. If I can carry a gun, I think they could.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for the call, Frank. Philip in Blue Island.
Good morning. Why is this being called a terrorist attack? Because his name is not Muhammad or, some Middle Eastern or some Arab name. Why isn't this a terrorist attack? Why hasn't that word even came up?
Domestic?
Let's see. I don't know. I've heard, and I agree with this was an assassination attempt. If you want to call it an act of domestic terrorism, that's fine by me.
A politically motivated shooting?
That's terrorism. Okay, Philip. Is that the only point you have?
Well, I mean, again, my point is, if it was an Arab or if it was somebody of that, from that area,
he wasn't shouting Allah Akbar.
Yeah, that's the real issue here is making sure that we get the nomenclature right, so we're treating a politically motivated assassination attempt as the same thing as a movement of radical Islamic terrorists to establish a caliphate. Okay, Philip, thanks for the call.
Well, if it was a white guy, so I mean,
I know it's all white and black for you, Philip. I get it. We've heard you before. Everything is white and black, and the white guy's always getting a pass. Yeah, the shooter in Alexandria is getting a big pass. Especially from conservatives, right, Philip? Because it's all black and white. That's the only thing you can see. And I'll tell you what, it's really important because the lens through which you look at life, shapes your perspectives. And I'm sorry, Philip, that you are so myopic that in the wake of this assassination attempt, act of domestic terrorism, All you can talk about is black and white. It's sad. Tony on the south side.
Hey, good morning, guys. Listen, I think the hypocrisy is lost on this whole thing. So it was a political shooting, or whatever you want to call it. It's politically charged, right? What is the mantra of the liberal left? Gun control. Take our guns. This is insane. This guy, a Bernie Sanders supporter, you'd think he wouldn't even have a gun. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah, thanks for the call.
Yeah,
Tony.
he had a rifle and a handgun.
Yeah, speaking of which, the Virginia governor, outgoing as he is, Terry McAuliffe.
Yeah, I heard him yesterday. Wow.
He weighed in on that issue of guns.
Too soon.
Tony, thanks for prompting this.
Governor, in general, do you think anything more needs to do to protect politicians?
Well, let me say this. I think we need to do more to protect all of our citizens. I have long advocated, this is not what today is about, but there are too many guns on the street. We lose 93 million Americans a day to gun violence. I've long talked about this.
Yeah.
What was that number?
93 million.
93. We'd lose 93 million?
No, a day.
A
day? I don't know how to break it to you, but none of us are going to see the end of the U.S. Open on Sunday at Erin Hills because we're all going to be dead.
Talk about not having your facts even remotely.
What's the difference?
Correct.
Say 100 million. Say $1 billion. They're just made up numbers for a made up position. That's what the left wants. They want laws. What did Cicero say? More laws, less justice. I'm interested in justice. Terry McAuliffe is interested in laws. Why? Because laws, under the guise of trading security for freedom, make the serfs willing participants in their own subjugation. That's the Terry McAuliffe proposal. The fact that 93 million people a day are lost to gun violence in this country, it doesn't matter. Why worry about the accuracy of any of his statistics when the accuracy of his underlying argument is absent? Glenn in Holland, Michigan.
I just wanted to point out that because the guards had some guns with them, they were able to respond very quickly, and we had a much different result than the London Bridge incident where all they had was batons to respond with.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for the call, Glenn.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, more of your phone calls, 312-642-5600. And you'll never believe how CNN last night characterized President Trump's visit with the injured congressman. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
70 degrees in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. It's now being reported that President Trump is under investigation for possible obstruction of justice. It's a Washington Post report citing that special counsel Robert Mueller is including the obstruction probe as part of his Russian meddling investigation. President Trump is asking for prayers for Representative Steve Scalise after visiting the House Majority Whip at the hospital.
Please take a moment today to cherish those you love and always remember those who serve and keep us safe. God bless them all. God bless you. And God bless America.
Scalise is listed in critical condition this morning at a Washington hospital center following emergency surgery for the gunshot wounds to his body. Yesterday's shooting spree won't stop tonight's annual congressional baseball game. Two Capitol Police officers praised as heroes and are expected to recover from injuries they suffered in the shooting. Capitol Deputy Police Chief Fred Rogers.
And the chief wants to commend Special Agent Crystal Griner, David Bailey, and Henry Cabrera for their heroic and appropriate response to protecting members of Congress today.
Capitol Police say Bailey was treated and released from the hospital while Griner remains in good condition. Federal investigators are in southern Illinois looking for any answers they can find about the man who opened fire on that Republican congressional baseball practice. James Hodgkinson died yesterday in that shootout, described by neighbors in the Metro East community of Belleville as an angry man who hated President Trump. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders says the suspect in yesterday's shooting spree was one of his Democratic presidential campaign volunteers.
I am sickened by this despicable act. Violence of any kind is unacceptable in our society, and I condemn this action in the strongest possible terms.
The shooter's recent social media postings included criticism of both Donald Trump and Republicans in Congress. Federal judge is ordering the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to take another look at the controversial Dakota Access Pipeline. It's a ruling from D.C. District Court Judge James Boseberg. Federal Reserve raising interest rates, the Fed increasing the short-term lending rate by 0.25%. Southern Baptist Convention condemning what it's terming the alt-right white nationalist movement. About 5,000 Southern Baptist leaders voted to affirm the denomination's opposition to what they call the alt-right. Cleanup underway after severe storms damaged many areas in Chicagoland, including Woodstock and Evanston. Group of civil rights organizations taking legal action against the mayor. Push for federal oversight of Chicago police reforms. It comes after Mayor Rahm Emanuel recently backed off his pledge to seek federal oversight. Mets cut down the Cubs 9-4. Orioles over the White Sox 10-6. Bears wrapping up minicamp today. The news service of CC's, now at CC's, party with the new stuffed crust trio. Bacon stuffed crust, new grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Join the original with pepperoni. The stuffed crust party is on at the Unlimited Buffet for just $5 and change. CC's. Prices may vary for a limited time only. 5:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher is fed up with the Trump bashers.
When I listen to people, colleagues of mine, he shouldn't tweet. You don't think he knows what he's doing? Well, but that's not protocol. Wait, he's not protocol. He's the proverbial bull in a china closet. It's who he is. My gosh, I'm so fed up with these haters. And the haters come in all political stripes.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Right now with Galaxy. Buy one cabinet, get one free. Visit us online at galaxyhome.com to schedule your free in-home estimate. Save an additional $500 when you book right now.
When a local manufacturer suffered an employee accident at their factory, McPherson Public Affairs Group was called in to handle crisis communications with the media, the general public, and the manufacturer's employees. When a local unit of government needed assistance in pushing a significant regional highway issue forward, McPherson Public Affairs Group was called in to manage the public, media, and legislative outreach campaign. When national trade associations and corporations need public outreach and communications campaigns in Illinois and throughout the Midwest, they count on McPherson Public Affairs Group to get the job done. McPherson Public Affairs Group is a full-service public affairs and public relations firm based in LaGrange, Illinois. They'll work with you to create a strategy and see it through. Contact them for a free consultation when you face public relations challenges or need media and spokesperson training for your executive team. 312-882-2473 or on the web at mcphersonpublicaffairs.com.
If you are or know a veteran who has served in Iraq or Afghanistan since 9/11, Dr. Manus Kraft and the Kraft Eye Institute on Harlem in Chicago are providing free laser vision correction to 2 qualified veterans every week for 1 year. The Kraft Eye Institute and Dr. Manus Kraft are pioneers and leaders in laser vision correction. They've successfully performed laser vision correction with the VisX excimer laser since February of 1991, longer than any other doctors in Chicago. Dr. Manus Kraft was awarded the prestigious AMA Benjamin Rush Medal, awarded to only one physician every year. So if you, a loved one, or friend have served since 9/11, you're urged to call the Kraft Eye Institute on Harlem in Chicago immediately to schedule an appointment. You could receive free laser vision correction just like hundreds of veterans and 100 club family members already have. Call the Kraft Eye Institute on Harlem at 773-777-4444. 773-777-4444.
5:37 and a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. It's all clear on the Edens, the Kennedy right now. Inbound Eisenhower, a little slow. Manheim to 17th. It's 32 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 5 at 29. Mount Stevenson, 37 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 5 at 34. Ryan is 20 minutes. 95th to downtown. I-57, 21 minutes. I-80 to the Merge Bishop, 428. Tollways are clear. Traffic service of CC's Now at Cece's, party with the new stuffed crust trio. Bacon stuffed crust, a new grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Join the original with pepperoni. The stuffed crust parties on the unlimited buffet for just $5 and change. Cece's, prices may vary for limited time only. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. We'll have a thunderstorm in spots early this morning, otherwise sunny intervals throughout the day. High 92, partly cloudy and warm, 69 overnight. More storms in the forecast for tomorrow. Currently 69 at O'Hare, 70 along the lakefront, a water temp of 65. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continue next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by MyPainChicago.com. World-class treatment for chronic pain. Go to MyPainChicago.com.
When you've got questions, he always has an answer. It's Sean Hannity this afternoon at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, talking about the profile of the shooter responsible for injuring 5 individuals in Alexandria yesterday, attempting to assassinate House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, as well as all the other members of Congress, aides, and related allies who were, practicing for a baseball game.
And for people to think, he just was randomly shooting, because that's a conversation I had with someone yesterday. No, he wasn't. In his 2015 Facebook post, he said, here's a Republican that should lose his job, but they gave him a raise, and it's a cartoon depiction of Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise. So he knew who he was.
Well, yeah, but the real indication of motive was the confirmation that he was the guy who went up to Congressman Duncan and Congressman DeSantis minutes before the shooting started and asked them, are those Republicans practicing or Democrats?
An individual walked up and asked, hey, there's Republicans or Democrats. Jeff said they're Republicans. The guy kind of turned around and started walking towards the field. It was a little odd, but I didn't see any indication of violence or anything.
He said he was wearing blue jeans and a blue shirt. They didn't suspect anything.
And then this angry little man opened fire. So the motive is come fairly clearly into focus, I would say. Here's something else, though, because, of course, Democrats have done what you expect them to do, which is talk about taking your guns away. In 2006, among the handful of run-ins with the law that the shooter had, 2006, he was arrested for domestic battery. This is a case where the shooter punched a man's girlfriend in the face with a closed fist, according to a police report. And when the girlfriend's boyfriend walked outside, the shooter aimed a shotgun at him and fired one round. This was also related to him allegedly, according to the police report, throwing his daughter around the bedroom, hitting her arms, pulling her hair, and grabbing her off the bed. And then she sought refuge with this next-door neighbor. Then he went over to the next-door neighbor and confronted her, and ultimately her boyfriend.
In 1992, he was arrested by Illinois State Police for resisting an obstruction of a peace officer.
The case is dismissed.
This one was dismissed, too.
So here's the question, though. If that police report is accurate and he's prosecuted for domestic violence, you know what happens? Loses his FOID card. Can't legally own a gun. So, I mean, you want to talk about justice and the justice system and the enforcement of laws. I think there's some questions about how local police handle this. And remember, he was politically active. So I don't know this. I'm raising the issue. But let me tell you something about St. Clair County. Cook County is not the only county where political clout matters in this state. And Madison and St. Clair County are pretty unique places when it comes to political clout, particularly political clout for Democrats, and particularly in the judicial system. That's why Madison and St. Clair County are routinely characterized by the American Tort Reform Association as judicial hellholes, like top 5 in the country, because it's jackpot justice down there. And don't think that doesn't extend into Democrat Party politics. And since he was active in Democrat Party politics, I just wonder. I'm just asking the question. It's being investigated down there, I know, because I know some reporters looking into it. So I don't have the answer. I'm just raising the possibility. Take a couple calls. Tim at Woodstock, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan and Amy. That's such a good point on the FOID card. Dan, we want to take the guns away from the good people because we don't deal with the bad people properly. But this morning I was thinking back and last night to Loretta Lynch's irresponsible Facebook post back in March, where she seemed to be encouraging the marching and even blood and death in the streets. And I just wondered, if that thought passed through this man's mind. I'm sure it did at some point. And just real quickly, I tried to watch CBS last night for just a few minutes. It was just almost insufferable but the anchor, I don't even know what his name is, he kept talking about how this was an assault on our democracy. And I thought if it had been reversed and a Democrat had been shot, it wouldn't have been characterized as an assault on our democracy. It would have been an assault on a Democrat. And that's what this was, as he pointed out. The man asked who these people were. This was an assault on people of particular political persuasion.
Thanks for the call, Tim. Just on the Loretta Lynch statement that Tim was referring to, just recalling this is in March. She said in a video, she calls for people who see our rights being assailed, being trampled on, and even being rolled back to follow the example of freedom fighters of the past. They've marched, they've bled, and yes, some of them have died. This is hard. Every good thing is we have done this before. We can do this again. Calling essentially for street action, Loretta Lynch, in terms of the rhetoric, which we'll get to in more detail, the whole argument about incitement to violence, which is being bandied about as well.
But he was known even in the St. Louis TV market because he attended several rallies. He wasn't just active on social media and being, an anti-Trumper. Here he is during the Occupy Wall Street movement. They had a similar protest in St. Louis.
The 99% are getting pushed around, and the 1% are just not giving a damn.
So he had a sign saying "tax the rich more, tax the rich" that he made, and the reporter said he was one of the first people there and one of the last people to leave.
Yeah, that picture was the lead in the Belleville News Democrat and some other outlets too that I think picked that up. Ed in Oak Brook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, you guys are bringing up the point that I wanted to make. It's the irresponsible reporting of the media and political statements by both sides that are not true. But there's a lot of people out there that are really, really angry. And it's not a gun issue. It's an angry issue. And I'm surprised that this doesn't happen more often to both sides. Because I don't even really watch the news anymore, because it just bothers me to hear all of this misinformation out there. And you guys keep up the good work. I got to catch a train.
All right, thanks for the call.
Don't miss your train.
Yeah, don't miss your train on our.
But one thing that CNN did last night just infuriated me. So President Trump and Melania, I thought President Trump handled himself so beautifully yesterday, and he really was concerned because his friend was shot. And this was, some say an attack on our democracy, whatever, call it what you may. But he and Melania went to the hospital last night to visit Solis and his wife, and they were there for a half hour by his bedside with the wife, and then they left and thanked doctors on the way out. And Anderson Cooper said that the Trumps were unable to actually see the wounded congressman. I mean, they
said bedside.
I know, but that's just where you fake media. They do anything that they can. Even when Trump is trying to do something nice, they try and bring him down. I thought now is not the time to have fake news, CNN. Please.
I'm very disappointed in Gloria Vanderbilt's kid.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
And I mean, Melania Trump, I think I might be changing teams here. She is absolutely gorgeous. Did you see what she wore yesterday to the hospital?
No, I did.
Well, look it up there. I mean, even when she's casual, she's strikingly gorgeous. And She'll make everything better at the bedside. Trust me.
Okay.
Okay. Thunderstorm in spots early this morning, otherwise sunny. A high of 92 degrees for our annual golf tournament. And then tomorrow we'll watch for some severe afternoon thunderstorms, otherwise warm with some sun. At least we'll be in the 80s, but it will be the upper 80s, a high of 88. Let's get into our alarm detection systems traffic center. A man who's always on the right team. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Absolutely. I better be. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. We have some delays on 94 in Kenosha this morning on the northbound or westbound side of 94. It's stop and go from Highway C, Highway 50. There's a crash there blocking the two right lanes. Inbound Kennedy, a little slow from the River O'Toole to Canfield. 21 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound fine at 20. Edens is good. Inbound Eisenhower. 33 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. Outbound 29. Stevens has gotten heavy. Delay start around Cass. 47 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound fine at 34. Ryan is 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
If you're a sleep apnea sufferer who's on the go to your phone. Because if you give us a call right now, you'll be able to try the world's first portable mini CPAP device absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP, an engineering marvel that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. Its unique design is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. No more dragging around a big, bulky CPAP. Even better, now you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights by calling minicpap.com, 1-800-300-9209. Transcend is FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. You can also add a battery pack that's as tiny as a deck of cards. So now you can enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. But don't wait. To receive your 10-night in-home trial, call minicpap.com now. 1-800-300-9209. That's 1-800-300-9209.
Hey, how would you like to have insurance for your computer network? Something to protect your hardware and software, and more importantly, give you peace of mind. That's so important. Well, using Turnkey IT for installation and support of your systems is like having insurance for your computer network. For one affordable monthly payment, your company gets a full team of certified technicians who are there for you, working in the background to ensure your systems are up and running. They'll help you over the phone and make house calls to your workplace. And Turnkey IT doesn't wait until there's an emergency call because they work hard to take preventative measures to keep your network secure, backed up, and running nonstop. Turnkey IT can protect your network with the Turnkey experience where everything's included. Office 365 hosting, advanced network protection, cloud backup, disaster recovery, and unlimited remote and on-site support. Find out what Turnkey IT can do for your company today. It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
All right, I have to admit it was an eyesore. The chipping and paint peeling on our front and back porch, it looked awful. But thanks to CertaPro painters, the porch looks brand new. The painters who showed up were professional, respectful. They were done in just a few hours, and when they left, the house looked brand new. They really are the best in the business, and it's not too late to book your exterior painting project. There are several spots open on CertaPro's summer schedule. Here's an idea. Let CertaPro painters transform your home while you're on vacation and return to a freshly painted house. They're celebrating their 25th anniversary this year, and so we invite you to experience the CertaPro difference. For a free estimate, call 1-800-GO-CERTA, CERTA, or visit CertaPro.com, that's Certa with the C. Get that painting project off your to-do list. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro painters, we do painting. You do life.
Gatto Industrial Platers, Inc. is the specialist in zinc and zinc nickel plating. Gatto is big, they're good, and they're easy to work with. Their high production rack plating line has up to a 15-foot capacity to handle any zinc plating requirement. Gatto's 210,000 square foot facility can process 300 tons per day and offers complete custom packaging with available pickup and delivery in the Chicago metro area by Gatto's own fleet of trucks. All of Gatto's products are inspected and certified to ensure that each customer is receiving the best and most cost-effective plating protection. Gatto is home to King Kong, the largest zinc plating line in North America that can zinc plate parts up to 27 feet long and weighing up to 8,000 pounds. For a quote and fast 24 to 48-hour service, call George Gatto Jr. or George Gatto Sr. at 1-800-290-1223. That's 1-800-290-1223. 1-800-290-1223.
Message and data rates may apply.
Would you rather get your degree from one of the most innovative online universities in the country or one of the nation's most affordable? How about both? Now you can at Southern New Hampshire University. Get degree information and see how to apply online by texting the word FRESH to 554433. College tuition is skyrocketing, making getting a degree almost impossible for too many, but it doesn't have to be that way. Founded in 1932, Southern New Hampshire University has the credibility of a New England campus, but by offering programs online, we've made education incredibly accessible and affordable. You'll discover knowledge and skills from instructors who are leaders in their field. Plus, you get all the flexibility, support, and encouragement needed to prepare you for the career you've always wanted. Southern New Hampshire University. See yourself succeed. Grab your smartphone and do the smart thing. Get degree information and see how to apply online by texting FRESH to 554433. That's FRESH to 554433.
Searching for that black box is one of the most important aspects of aircraft accident investigation. But then, of course, you gotta have an airplane crash to investigate. I get it. Wait for the crash, investigate after. Sounds a bit late for all those on board. Sad to say, the same kind of black box approach is currently being used in our healthcare system today, which means nothing more than you feeling under the weather. Then we'll study the black box, x-rays, blood work, endless streams of diagnostic testing, uncover a terrible disease that may require a treatment plan that may prove even more deadly than the disease itself. This is Dr. David Kolbaba. I'm not into crash investigation. Here at HealthQuest, our passion is prevention. Spend more time, energy, and money on true preventative healthcare today, or you'll undoubtedly be spending more precious time, energy, and money later on some terrible sickness or disease. True prevention saves lives, one life at a time. How about you and your life? An ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of risky and dangerous medical care. Give us a call, 1-800-794-1855. That's 1-800-794-1855.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Do you know your bank's fraud tolerance? I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive. At Signature Bank, we have zero tolerance. While some of the big banks may write off smaller incidences of fraud, we use a multi-layered approach to fight fraud before it happens to our customers. There's been a record number of businesses hit with payments fraud this year. Keeping your business assets safe is our top priority. We are trained, and we will train you to recognize potential wire fraud threats and business email compromise scams. Call us today to find out how Signature Bank can work with your business to fight fraud.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
5:57. A check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Kennedy, traffic is heavy from the River Road toll to Canfield. It's 22 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound fine at 20. All clear on the Edens. The Eisenhower. Inbound heavy starting at North Avenue. 39 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. Outbound 30. Stevenson, 48 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, it's fine. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 25 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop 429. Traffic service of Dove Men Plus Care. You hear that 91% of guys that use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommend it. Dove Men Plus Care user Daniel said that his armpits aren't the worst thing at the gym anymore. Make the locker room a better place and pick up some new Dove Men Plus Care for your gym bag at your local retailer. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer comes up after a full update from Fox News and your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
After an early shower or thunderstorm in spots, it will become less humid with clouds and sun today, high 92, partly cloudy night, low 69. More humid tomorrow with clouds and sun. Watch for a severe afternoon thunderstorm, which could bring flash flooding and damaging wind gusts, high 88. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
The news, a service of Cabela's Father's Day, a day to say thanks to the most important guy in the world. This year, give him the perfect Father's Day gift. Earn $25 in Cabela's Bucks when you spend $150 or more in-store, shop in-store, or online. Currently 69 at O'Hare, 70 along Chicago's lakefront, and at 5:59 in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Here are the stories we're following at this hour. Federal investigators are in southern Illinois in the Metro East community of Belleville, looking for any answers they can find about a man who opened fire on the congressional baseball practice yesterday in Virginia. Federal judge is ordering the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to take another look at the controversial Dakota Access Pipeline. Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner says he'll sign the latest budget plan in Springfield if it reaches his desk. Republicans yesterday offering a budget that would raise income taxes but freeze property taxes for 4 years and include major changes in workers' comp rules and consolidation of local government. Mets cut down the Cubs yesterday while the Orioles stopped their 6-game losing skid with a win over the White Sox. Currently 69 degrees at O'Hare. WIND Chicago News Time. 6 o'clock.
Pray for Steve. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump tweeted after he and the First Lady went to Congressman Steve Scalise's bedside last night, writing he's in very tough shape.
And still very much a fight for the majority whip, who is still in the hospital this morning in critical condition. Overnight, we learned that he had received multiple blood transfusions and will still need additional surgery to recover from that single gunshot wound that went into his hip and then through his pelvis.
That's Fox's Leland Vittert at the White House. Republicans were practicing for a baseball game when they were shot at that field in Alexandria, Virginia. Now that game will go on tonight, and there's talk among Republicans and Democrats of being unified.
We're all united in being very mindful of discourse, the need for civility.
And that's GOP Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn. Amid all the calls for unity, a report the president is now being investigated. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the special counsel overseeing the Russia probe is now looking into whether the president tried to obstruct justice. The Washington Post reports that the director of national intelligence and the head of the NSA have agreed to talk to investigators as soon as this week. Former FBI Director James Comey assured President Trump that he was not personally under investigation, but sources say that may have changed shortly after he was dismissed. The White House is referring all questions to President Trump's personal lawyer, Mark Kasowitz. Dave.
Now, Rachel, the president has just tweeted they made up a phony collusion with the Russian story, found zero proof, so now they go for obstruction of justice on the phony story. Nice. The day after a UPS driver started shooting coworkers at a meeting in San Francisco, we've learned Jimmy Lamb complained in March about working too much overtime. He killed 3 people and then himself. 2 others were also wounded. It's now 17 dead in that London high-rise fire as they keep searching for victims in the blackened building. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Not even halfway through this first year in office, the political left and dinosaur media actually think they're going to impeach President Trump. Fake scandal after fake scandal dominate the headlines in the cable newsrooms, and not surprisingly, it's even causing establishment Republicans to get wobbly. Yeah, guess it didn't occur to them that making America great again was going to take some work. Sometimes work is hard. You know it, though, and so does the president. That's also why we're here. We never get wobbly. AM 560, The Answer.
The key to success? Keep it simple, especially when it comes to hiring. And nobody makes it easier than Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions. Manage your candidates from one dashboard. According to an independent study, 5 times more hires are made through Indeed than any other job site. New users claim your $50 credit to post a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Greta is a drill instructor.
Move, move, move!
do? Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to training lean, mean fighting machines, she doesn't mess around.
Drop and give me $3,000.
But when it comes to getting a mortgage, Greta's less confident.
I got nothing.
Fortunately for Greta, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's simple, so she can understand the details and know she's getting the right mortgage. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Go to rocketmortgage.com today.
Equal housing lender license in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Of course, we're talking about the condition of the victims of the shooting yesterday on that baseball field in Alexandria, Virginia, as well as what we know about the shooter who was shot and killed by the heroic actions of Capitol Hill police, who were thankfully, just serendipitously, at the baseball field because they're Steve Scalise's security detail. And if Steve Scalise, the House Majority Whip, that position has a security detail attendant to it, he's not there, they're not there. And it turns out, as we discussed a little bit earlier, that from folks we know in Congress, that Steve Scalise rarely shows up to those practices. So as tragic as what happened yesterday was, as bad as it is, it could have been much, much worse if you had had that shooter with just a bunch of unarmed members of Congress and aides and so forth in an open field, because that would have been the situation had Scalise not been there.
Yeah, Crystal Griner and David Bailey are their names, and they were actually both injured in the shooting, and while they were injured, they were able to fire off those fatal shots and kill Hodgkins. So everyone is praising their heroic efforts this morning, and really, it's a gift from God that nobody died.
And the president in particular in his address yesterday.
Our brave Capitol Police perform a challenging job with incredible skill, and their sacrifice makes democracy possible.
Well, there's a couple of discussions going on, right? The typical tracks, the customary calls for civility, for unity, from Democrats like Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe for gun control. Oh, all the way also by David Frum, Mr. No Labels guy, neocon, kind of, alleged public intellectual. He tweeted out yesterday that Virginia, before you had the information, and this is just dangerous business, David Frum. David Frum tweeted out yesterday, Virginia, no background checks, no licensing, no registration, no permit required for concealed carry of long guns, open carry of long guns, and handguns. Except
he's not from Virginia. He's from Belleville, Illinois.
Right. And I'll tell you what, do you know who pointed that out on Twitter? To David Frum, Mr. Public Intellectual, No Labels, favorite center-rightist of the D.C. press corps because he spends most of his time attacking conservatives. Jenna Jameson.
Really?
Jenna Jameson smacked down public intellectual David Frum.
Wow.
It's delicious.
It was really a moment for everyone to come together. And I know peace and politics, Dan, compromise. You don't like that. But yesterday was a day to reflect.
I don't like peace and politics.
No, you do like peace and politics. But this is what, last night Republicans were invited to the Democratic National Headquarters for dinner. And the game is still going to go on tonight at the Nationals, Washington Nationals ballpark. But Paul Ryan, he brought a tear to my eye yesterday when he took to the House floor.
There is one image in particular that this House should keep, and that is a photo I saw this morning of our Democratic colleagues gathered in prayer this morning after hearing the news. At times, our emotions can clearly get the best of us. We're all imperfect, but we do not shed our humanity when we enter this chamber. For all the noise and all the fury, we are one family. We are united in our shock. We are united in our anguish. An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us.
And he was referring to the picture that because the Democratic baseball team was practicing a few miles away, and when they heard the news, they stopped and had a moment of prayer in the dugout.
Yeah.
What?
Let me ask you a question and put this out to our friends and listening audience. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Because this is the other line of discussion that's occurring. Are American politics lethal? Have American politics become lethal, or is this just how politics has always been? And you're going to have individuals that, well, to borrow a term, get radicalized and commit acts of violence in furtherance of their political positions. The 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Is there such a thing as political incitement to violence such that, like inciting a mob is a criminal offense, such that there is potential legal culpability? Do you believe that? Or do you believe that the responsible party is the shooter from Belleville, and that's kind of the sum total of it? We can talk about the toxicity of our politics, but not in a legal sense. You see, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, look what's been going on lately. Does this surprise anybody either that this shooting took place? I was surprised there was an assassination on President Trump. I mean, you have Kathy Griffin holding up a bloodied head.
Well, by the way,
President Trump, you've got that theater going on in New York where President Trump's being killed on stage.
Just to pull back for a second, in the campaign, remember the underreported assassination attempt on Trump.
Yeah, in Vegas by that 19-year-old kid. Yeah,
who had a gun.
Mm-hmm. It was ready to kill him, and he was taken down.
That was a real thing, and it was incredible how underreported that story was.
But now the left will say, well, no, during the campaign, it is President Trump divisive rhetoric that caused this man to attack him by saying, lock her up, and saying, yeah, get that knucklehead out of here, and things like that. That's what they're arguing.
So it's Trump's rhetoric that is responsible for the shooting of Republicans yesterday? Is that the left's argument? Mm-hmm. Who's making that argument?
Oh, one of my liberal lady friends who I spoke with yesterday.
Yeah, okay. You know, I mean, I got to tell you, talking to people who believe things like that, I'm just warning you.
Well,
it can cause long-term debilitating intellectual illnesses.
Oh, cognitive disabilities.
I'm just trying to protect you.
No, but I heard him out, and I had to literally bite my tongue before I asked, are you happy that it happened? So I thought, you know what, I'm going to refrain from asking that question. Don't ask it.
Well,
don't ask it. But I was chomping at the bit to say, oh, so is that why you're smiling? There seems to be a little skip in your step today, friend. Ugh.
You started to mention the Kathy Griffin beheading.
Yeah.
Art. The Trump assassination. Trump as Julius Caesar, and adaptation of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar at the New York Public Theater. That's going on. And some of the other rhetoric of the left in general. By the way, this is nothing new. Before the New York Public Theater and their adaptation of Julius Caesar. Remember this? Death of a President, exploring the fictional assassination of George W. Bush. Real archival footage with a fictional story. This is about the time that The Interview came out, back during the Bush administration. Reading, did you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
The film? This is a Death of a President, directed by Gabriel Range and produced by British public television outlet Channel 4. Took a serious look at the consequences of assassinating George W. Bush. I got to say, I hate to play this game, this Can You Imagine game, but think about this for a second, since you raised the specter of Griffin and the New York Public Theater issue. By the way, Dan Hendra has a great piece in the Wall Street Journal today entitled Political Disorder Syndrome, where he addresses that issue, too, and suggests that New York Public Theater should suspend the production of that play, but he also knows that they won't. But can you imagine if a popular theater group was acting out the assassination of President Obama while comedians took pictures of themselves holding Obama's severed head?
Oh.
And then
they'd be driven out of the country.
Well, wait for it. Yeah, you're right. They'd be.
I mean,
I could
I'm not
stop
kidding
there.
you. Yeah.
I could stop there, but wait for it because I have to complete the actual story to
Okay.
make the analogy on point. And then 2 days later, some right-wing guy opened fire targeting a bunch of congressional Democrats. What do you think the response would be? You think it would be the same as the response that you're getting today? You think there would be any question about the comedian who put forward that art or the play, the theater group that was putting on a play about the assassination of President Obama? As if a theater group would ever do that.
No.
What about that? I mean, I look.
The rules for the right do not apply.
Right.
To the rules that the left adhere by.
And can you imagine kind of the? I mean, I find it becomes banal very quickly too. But I'm just saying, in this instance, boy, I think you got to look at it. Ken in Wales, Wisconsin, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Unfortunately, I see the Republicans as, if you equate it to an animal, the Republicans are kind of like a panda bear, and Democrats are more like a honey badger. And really what's happening is they are clawing and biting their way. It's just to stay, number one, to stay relevant, to get back into power. But they're doing it through their, I won't even say lunatic fringe, because they're highly influential entertainment people. Of course, Democrat, the actual politicians are not calling for the execution of Donald Trump. However, they're kind of getting others to hint toward it and getting that lunatic fringe to do it.
Thanks for the call. I'm sorry.
And the thing that drives me crazy, though, is that I've been arguing about this on Facebook a little bit, and the left will come back and say, "Oh, yeah, well, they did this to Obama too," and they'll show like a picture of some, again, lunatic right fringe, that maybe someone took a picture of him with Obama in a noose or something, but again, not highly influential. They just they're just idiots that are trying to get on the news.
That's right. Yeah, thanks for the call, Ken. I mean, the difference between the those that leave a threatening voicemail message and those that have a big platform like a theater group or a comedian or some other entertainer, I think there is a distinction to be made there, certainly in terms of influence. But I mean, there is other examples worth pointing out. FBI agents arrested a Tucson Unified School District employee for making violent threats against Representative Martha McSally, Arizona. This is
that's Gabby Gifford's old seat.
Yeah, this is recently.
We've had her on the show.
Police charged a 35-year-old Wendy Wright with felony reckless endangerment for trying to run down Republican Congressman David Kustoff and run him off the road after a town hall he held regarding the GOP health care bill. A 71-year-old female staffer for California Rep. Dana Rohrabacher, Republican, knocked unconscious during an angry protest that activists staged outside Rohrabacher's office. Of course, you've seen what's happened on college campuses. From which direction are professors being assaulted and facilities being burned down and speakers being threatened?
Remember during the women's march, Madonna up there saying she wanted to blow up the White House?
Yeah.
And people seem to forget about that. A lot of anger out there. But the sad thing is, one of his friends, the gunman's friends in Belleville, was interviewed by a local reporter in St. Louis, and it kind of understood why his friend did what he did.
I don't know his politics, but I can see how he's pretty well fed up with some of this stuff. I'm fed up with what's going on in this state.
But if you don't resort to violence to solve your anger issues.
Right.
And what about his wife? You mentioned this earlier, that he still owns that home in Belleville, but he moved out to Alexandria to live in his van near the site.
For 2 months.
For 2 months, yeah. But didn't she see that something was wrong? I mean, he was a home inspector for 30 years, and he let that license expire and just decided to move out there?
Some questions. I'm not assigning blame to the wife, but I mean, the idea, honey, I'm going on a 2-month camping trip to Alexandria, Virginia. I'm going to live out of the van.
By the YMCA, where there's a baseball diamond.
It's curious. Randy in Berwyn.
Hey, remember a few years ago a rodeo clown put on a mask?
Yes.
For Obama?
Yep.
And how they just ripped him a new one for putting on a mask and trying to be funny.
Yeah, he was the rodeo clown was treated to an interrogation from Secret Service.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks for the call, Randy. Mike on the north side.
You kids, this has nothing to do with the left and the right. They're not similar at all. When Obama came in, nobody openly advocated violence against himself, his family, or his supporters. This is being tolerated from the left against Republicans and against President Trump and his family. When you accept lawlessness like this, you accept the rhetoric, then you're going to end up with the physical actions. They got to crack down on it. And Amy, if they're getting too liberal for you, you're going to have to come across Damon Avenue. Come west, come to our watering hole. People are more conservative. They won't judge you.
Where do you hang out, Mike?
Reese's Beer Stupa.
Reese's what?
Reese's Beer Stupa?
Beer Stuba. It's a German word.
Oh.
Stuba.
Stuba. And if you want Friday, we can take a field trip. We'll bring some conservatives down to your place with all the pig pictures on the wall.
Oh, yeah, the piggery. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
All right, it's
all right, it's a date.
Yeah, it's a date, Mike. Well done, sir.
And I'll bring Bunky.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/.
What's something Stuba? What's a Stuba, by the way? I guess it's a bar.
I'll look it up. It's some German term. Today, some thunderstorms and spots. Otherwise, sunshine. A beautiful day for our, I think, 8th annual AM 560's golf outing. We'll have a high of 92 degrees. And then to bring some of that powder you talked about, Dan, the other day. You know what I'm talking. Powder for your pants. You know, the powder, the deodorant. The deodorant for the...
my Comfy Boys deodorant? Sure, I will.
And then tomorrow, Friday, watch for some severe afternoon thunderstorms. A little bit cooler, a high in the upper 80s. Let's get into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. Good morning in Kenosha. We've got delays on northbound 94, westbound 94, from Highway C to Highway 50 with a crash in the left lane. Inbound Eden's a little heavy Foster to the junction. 20 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 19, got a crash at Willow on the right side. Kennedy, 24 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 27. The Eisenhower's 43 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. Outbound 30, Stevenson. Now 54 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 35. Ryan is 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Outbound at 71st, got a school bus on fire. 2 right lanes are blocked. We're told that everyone's off that bus. And okay. I-57, 25 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop 423. I'm Jim Telemonte of the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that enhances what we do each morning on this show. Long-form interviews with policymakers and opinion leaders, like State Senator Dan McConkey, featured this week, freshman Republican from Hawthorne Woods, talking about the state budget impasse, particularly with the special session coming up starting next week, Wednesday, for 10 days. Is there a deal in the offing? And will Republicans snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, as they're wont to do in this state? We'll talk about an Illinois Rising, which is our program that covers state policy and politics, and his podcast at upstream-ideas.com. Follow the Logic Man on the Street interviews, 60-second commentaries from yours truly, 2-minute warnings about bad actors in public office, as well as dollars and cents. That explains how some of those actors, good and bad, are spending your tax dollars. And rolling out this week a new series called Heart of the Matter, where you have women of various demographics discussing the salient public policy issues of the day, colleague to colleague. It's all at upstream-ideas.com. Sign up today.
Tasty Catering is bringing outdoor happiness to you and your coworkers this picnic season.
Down-home barbecue, street tacos, sausages and sandwiches, steaks, chops, fish, Greek feasts, pig roasts. The list goes on.
Tasty Catering picnic foods are more deliciously sophisticated than ever. With so many great options, everyone will be happy.
Organic, gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, and dairy-free options never tasted so picnicky.
And your picnic doesn't stop with amazing freshly grilled food. Entertainment, rentals, decor, venue selection. Get everything you need with one single call to Tasty Catering.
Inflatables and crafts for the kids, games and athletics for the teenagers, beverage packages, and entertainment options for the adults, there's so much to choose from.
The best company picnics start at tastycatering.com. View picnic menus, entertainment options, picnic spots, and more. Visit tastycatering.com. tastycatering.com.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, just to do a little bit of a break from the discussion of the shooting,
Yes.
you do have the U.S. Open starting today.
We have our golf outing today, and I want everyone to know that's watching on the webcam, you look very nice in your new golf outfit with your matching
Thanks.
belt and khaki pants.
Yeah, and my
crisp
top.
look. Yeah, your blouse.
My
or your
golf
top,
blouse.
your golf blouse.
Yeah.
A collared shirt. I like it. What kind? Chicago, what does it say?
Chicago Golf.
Oh, Chicago Golf. Oh, the best place in the world to
The
golf.
cathedral of golf in North America. That's right.
cathedral of golf
Did you
in America.
do you remember what Chicago Golf's motto?
Dan Prof, you caddy here?
No, it's emblazoned on the seal. Far and sure.
Far, what?
Far and sure.
Far and sure.
Yeah. So the story, Erin Hills, so this is an incredible story of a golf course that relatively recently came online and is hosting a U.S. Open. It's just up Milwaukee way.
Big deal. A lot of people from Chicago are going. Peyton and Eli are going to be going all weekend.
Yeah.
Because nothing says Happy Father's Day like that.
Well, I was going to go, but then again...
You can't go because I'm going Sunday, and I don't want to spend more time with you.
Well, here's the other problem. It's a big place, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
But here's the other problem is per Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, who said that 93 million Americans die every day as a result of gun violence. We're all going to be dead by Sunday anyway, so what's the point?
You should really play that soundbite again because it's unbelievable. Did he realize after he said it that he made a horrific error?
Mm-hmm. Terry McAuliffe. But so this is an interesting story, though. It's a story about going for broke and winning and losing at the same time. So Erin Hills, this incredible track, I have not yet played it, but I've heard
but you will.
Stories.
You just wait, Erin Hills. Dan Prof's coming for you.
Bob Lang is the man who developed Erin Hills. He had a successful calendar business, effectively, and he had to sell the course though in 2009. After buying the bulk of the land in 2001, Lang built and operated Erin Hills with a manic zeal that blinded him to the magnitude of the cost. It had two effects. 2001 and 2017, they're hosting U.S. Open. That's highly unusual. The two effects, it brought the U.S. Open to Wisconsin. He ended up selling his calendar publishing business, his commercial real estate holdings, and finally Erin Hills itself by 2009. So he's just another spectator today, starting today and this weekend, at Erin Hills. He said, I had a passion that became an obsession to build a golf course for the U.S. Open, and I was going to do everything I legally could to get it. And he did. And so it's an interesting story. So he accomplishes his mission, but at the cost of most of his previous $26 million fortune. And I don't know, do you look at this as a tragic story, or do you look at this as thinking about Erin Hills, this thing that he developed, that he built to accomplish it? I'm sure if he had to do it over again, he would have made some different financial decisions to protect the downside a little bit better and all those things. But he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish, but probably not at the cost he thought he was willing to pay at the outset. Yeah. You know, I mean, so there's.
Oh, I love stories like this.
It
just shows a perseverance, and if you truly love something and believe in it, and you're willing to lose everything you have for this one cause, and then it comes to fruition. He's holding the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
On this weekend, it has 138 bunkers. 138 bunkers. So all of the players are trying to avoid those.
Yeah. I mean, I get the golf thing. I know, you're like a Dustin Johnson groupie or some such thing. The Bob Lang story is the interesting story. Such a uniquely American story. And by the way, if you want to read all the details, there's a piece in the Wall Street Journal about it. He brought the U.S. Open to a cow pasture. All it cost was his fortune.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
Looking for a fun summer vacation idea? Charlottesville in Albemarle County, Virginia is a short and easy trip with daily nonstop flights on 2 airlines from O'Hare. Tour the homes of former Presidents Jefferson, Monroe, and Madison. Sip wine at one of the area's 30-plus wineries. Take a hike in Shenandoah National Park. Dine al fresco at one of the many farm-to-table restaurants, or stroll down one of the longest pedestrian malls in the country. Plan your trip today at visitcharlottesville.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The New York Times editorial board takes the opportunity of the shooting in Alexandria, Virginia, to take shots at Sarah Palin at 6:36.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. 71 degrees in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. President Trump scheduled to attend the Supreme Court today as justices consider whether to take up an appeal of rulings against his travel ban. Meantime, the president continues to blast reports that he's under investigation for obstruction of justice. The Washington Post reported in their editions that special counsel Robert Mueller is expanding his probe into obstruction as part of the Russian meddling investigation. President Trump is asking for prayers for Representative Steve Scalise. After visiting the House Majority Whip at the hospital, Scalise this morning listed in critical condition at Washington Hospital Center following emergency surgery for internal injuries and a gunshot wound to the hip. Yesterday's shooting spree will not stop tonight's congressional baseball game.
Basically, we're playing the game tomorrow. We're united, not as Republicans and Democrats, but as United States representatives.
At a Capitol News conference, Republican Joe Barton, FBI Special Agent Tim Slater had nothing but praise for the Capitol Police group protecting Scalise, among the first responders on the scene during yesterday's shooting spree in Alexandria, Virginia.
I would like to thank the Alexandria Police Department, U.S. Capitol Police, and medical response teams who responded to the scene this morning for their quick and decisive actions, actually saving lives.
Meantime, federal investigators are centering their investigation on southern Illinois, looking for answers they can find during a shootout with police. This morning, London's fire commissioner says there are unknown numbers of bodies in the high-rise condition. Cleanup is underway after strong storms crossed the area yesterday afternoon. Suburbs hit hard include Woodstock and Evanston. No one hurt after a concealed carry holder fired shots while being robbed in Chicago's Loop. Police say it happened while the man was sitting in traffic yesterday near East Wacker Drive and State Street. Charges are pending after about 4,000 pounds of fireworks were seized from a home near Lamont. Boxes were discovered yesterday while officers were responding to a domestic trouble call in Lamont Township, and one person was taken into custody. Mets beat the Cubs 9-4. Orioles stopped their losing skid with a win over the White Sox 10-6. The news, a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. 5% on all purchases in-store or online, subject to credit approval, U.S. only. 6:33 is our time. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager believes the Democrats are victorious in the Comey testimony.
The Democrats have won a fantastic victory by continuing this Russian collusion story, which has absolutely still has no basis. Do you understand? Nothing. All the leaks, all the investigation, nothing. Great victory for the left here, how they have made a crisis out of nothing.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Give Dad the perfect Father's Day gift and earn $25 in Cabela's Bucks when you spend $150 or more in-store. Shop in-store and online.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
6:35. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On 94 in Kenosha, westbound or northbound traffic is heavy from Highway C to Highway 50. A crash has 2 left lanes now blocked there. The outbound ride, it's slow from the Skyway to 71st. 2 right lanes are blocked after a bus fire. Turns out no students were on board. The 2 adults there got out safely, so everyone's off that bus, but there was a brief delay inbound on the ride. Looking at 29 minutes now from 95th to downtown. Eden's 23 minutes, Light Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. Kennedy, 32 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 36. The Eisenhower, now 54 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 35. The Stevenson is 54 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 35. Northbound Tri-State heavy from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Traffic is a service of Farmers Insurance. It takes more than a roof to make sure your home is covered. Farmers Insurance has over 89 years of knowledge and experience. You can protect what's important to you. Learn more at farmers.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. A few morning thunderstorms could cross the area. Otherwise, sunny intervals in the afternoon and a high of 92. Partly cloudy and warm, low 69. Currently, we have 70 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Advanced Planning Advisors, bringing you Smart Money Talk with Mike Moylan and Rob Curvin, Saturday mornings at 6.
Some call me the sage from South Central. Others call me the czar of common sense. But you can call me Larry Elder. And you're invited to join me tonight, starting at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, the number 312-642. 5600 turnkey.pro answer line, taking your calls and your texts to 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Good job, Dan.
Yeah, phew,
You got
boy.
golf on the mind now that I'm staring at pictures of Erin Hills.
True, I do.
You're going to take me there to golf one day, right?
If you play your cards right. America's politics lethal, and are leftists responsible for an incitement to violence, morally responsible, and let's not say legally responsible, morally and ethically responsible in some material way for the shooting in Alexandria, Virginia yesterday. They would certainly promote the idea of a climate of hate. That's what they've done, even when it's been inappropriate. Let me give you an example. New York Times. just understand the New York Times. I'll tell you what, I give them credit, the editorial board and the editors of the New York Times. You cannot get them off their narrative. They are sticking to their narrative. They're very disciplined about it. No matter what you throw at them, they are going to stick with their narrative. So while bemoaning America's lethal politics, this is their editorial today, America's lethal politics, they go on, they go on to make a moral equivalence between Sarah Palin and the Alexandria, Virginia shooter yesterday. No, I'm not kidding.
A little bit of a stretch, but I want to hear their argument.
The shooter, the name they used, was surely deranged, and his derangement had found its fuel in politics. It's not clear that he was deranged. Angry, not the same thing as deranged. The idea that everybody's mentally ill, no, they could just be evil. They could just make a choice to commit an evil, terrible act. There's a pill for everything. Right. Come on.
I mean, clearly he knew what he was doing. He was scoping out that area for 2 months, lived on the street where the shooting took place.
He wasn't some vagrant did he somehow snap? Okay, perhaps. I don't know. I don't claim to be a mental health professional. But he lived a life into his 60s, business for 30 years. He had some run-ins, but and run-ins that are worthy of review at this point. But most of his neighbors found no issue with him. He had a wife. He had a daughter.
Very active politically. I mean, he was a volunteer for Bernie Sanders, and he on his Facebook page, there's a lot of anti-Trump sentiment.
But there's a lot of anti-Trump sentiment and vulgarity in a lot of Facebook pages and a lot of Twitter accounts. So they kind of like, oh, he's a nut job, and we just kind of cast him off. No, I'm not doing that.
Well, but he did say Trump has destroyed our democracy. It's time to destroy Trump and company.
Yeah, again.
That was the most violent.
Yeah,
insinuation of violence.
That is not dispositive of the mental health issue. So going back to the New York Times, was surely deranged, and his derangement had found its fuel in politics. Was a Bernie Sanders supporter, campaign volunteer, virulently opposed to President Trump, posted many anti-Trump messages on social media. Was this attack evidence of how vicious American politics has become? Probably, writes the New York Times. In 2011, when Jared Lee Lochner opened fire in a supermarket parking lot, grievously wounding Representative Gabby Giffords and killing 6 people, including a 9-year-old girl, the link to political incitement was clear. What was that link? Before the shooting, Sarah Palin's Political Action Committee circulated a map of targeted electoral districts that put Miss Giffords and 19 other Democrats under stylized crosshairs.
It had nothing to do with Jared Lochner's motive behind killing all those people.
The political incitement was clear. Sarah Palin's webpage. By the way, if we want to talk about political incitement with Lochner, whatever.
Jared Lochner.
Okay, I don't even know why I'm saying his name. You know that.
Well, his parents still live in Tucson.
I don't care.
Yeah, I know you don't care, but they didn't do anything to stop him.
The political incitement, the Arizona shooter's favorite books, Mein Kampf and the Communist Manifesto. He was a conspiracy theorist who was a fan of totalitarian literature. Okay?
But he was. I know that he was mentally disturbed, and anyone who went to Pima College, community college with him, even got him kicked out of class because he was crazy. I talk for hours about his nut jobness, and his parents did nothing.
Yeah, I'm not. But let's get back to lethal politics and political incitement, because the New York Times essentially says Sarah Palin's webpage incited the Arizona shooter to open fire on Gabby Giffords and those around her.
I could tell you with 100% certainty that Jared Lochner never even logged on to Sarah Palin's website to see those crosshairs.
Okay, well, that's
because they checked that out on his computer. That never happened.
This is my point about the New York Times. You can't get them off their narrative. Don't
stupid. It's irresponsible.
Don't interrupt their storytelling with your inconvenient truths. And so the question is, well, so if that's the New York Times standard, then the play at New York Public Theater, the Kathy Griffin, the beheading photo, the general bellicose rhetoric, is that all incitement to riot? Is that a clear linked to political incitement to violence?
I don't know. Congressman Rodney Davis, Republican from Illinois, who was at home plate, who still had blood on his shirt when he was giving this interview with CNN yesterday, said there's definitely too much hate in politics.
There's such a hatefulness in what we see in American politics and policy discussions right now. This has got to stop. We can disagree on how to govern. That's what makes our country great. But I'm here because we're all Americans. And I think Republicans and Democrats need to use this day today to stand together and say, stop. Let's work together. Let's get things done.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I find the kindergarten rhetoric empty. Let's work together. Let's get things done.
So you don't believe in peace in politics?
Are you kidding me?
That's not.
Are you kidding me?
I'm just saying.
Stop being absurd. Stop being absurd.
Not absurd. That's what they were doing yesterday. The Democrats had the Republicans over for dinner at their DNC headquarters.
I'm an adult. I'm not some prepubescent romper room attendant. And so, no, what I'm saying is don't treat me like a fracking child, ruling class politicians. Of course, I'm not even going to dignify that question with a response. You want to talk about culture? You want to talk about the problem in this country? Yeah, we have a coarsening of our culture. We have a lack of respect for each other because we have a lack of respect for the right of each other to exist. Coarsening of our culture, how we treat life. Where we decide, where we say truth resides, between our ears, not outside of us. So you turn away from the Almighty, and you treat others as disposable. Does that coarsen the culture, or is it the hackery, hysterics from Elizabeth Warren on the left and others on the right? Is that the cause, or is that the symptom?
But why is it when I discussed earlier the picture of and the moment when the Democratic congressional baseball team stopped to pray when they heard about the shooting? Does that bother you? I mean, I thought that was a beautiful moment when the Democrats, because we always say that they're heathens and they're atheists, and they're not all atheists. They were touched and horrified by what happened yesterday.
I didn't say they were all atheists, so I'm not going to respond to straw man arguments.
Okay, well, I'm saying
and statements I never made.
Okay, no. When you saw that image of the Democrats praying and pretty much taking a knee and praying for their colleagues who across the aisle who are injured, is that
great? And then where do we go from here? We just indulge our own sentimentality. I said the right things. I tweeted the right thing. I posted the right message on Facebook. Thoughts and prayers, and then we just go back to exactly how we were behaving and the exact things we were promoting 5 minutes before the shooting. What's the change? What's the clean break?
Maybe they'll come together for repeal and replace of Obamacare.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jim Doyle from Pennsylvania, Democrat.
It shouldn't take an incident like this to bring us together. I know in times of tragedy we have Americans do that, but Joe and I have been reflecting a lot lately just on how we can still maintain our principles and our legislative agendas, but we could do it in a more civil way. And when the leadership of this country is civil towards one another, maybe the public will start being civil towards one another too.
Do you think that's right? That we need our political leadership, a.k.a. political ruling class. That's who we look to for moral guidance.
For civility.
And if we see them behaving civilly, then that will change America, because they are our fathers and mothers, aren't they? No, they're not. And if you think that the example set forward by politicians will ever be an example that, number one, should be emulated, number two, that should be that will be filtered down to being incorporated by 330 million Americans, then you're whistling Dixie, my friend. I mean, give me a break. This is the self-indulgence I'm talking about. This has nothing to do. Boy, if Joe Barton and Jim Doyle can break bread together, then that's going to change my heart. I mean, call me a cynic, but I'm tired of being fed this line of bull jive from the same purveyors of bull jive. Time after time, this lasts for 72 hours, and then we go right back to it. So you want to, let them pull you out of the pond with the fish hook in your mouth and flop around? Fine. I'm not doing it. And by the way, the flip side of this is I also am not going to adopt the left's climate of hate argument. The shooter in Alexandria, Virginia is the one responsible. So I disagree even with some of my libertarian and conservative brethren like Seth Barron, who writes in City Journal about incitement to violence and concludes his piece saying Trump's opponents in the media, academia, and politics can pretend that their calls for radical action were meant metaphorically or in a nonviolent sense, but they are the ones who open this box of fear, panic, and rage. Let them take responsibility for the climate that now exists. Does what those who have influence and acolytes say and do, does it have impact? Sure it does. Of course it does. I'm the one who argues culture ad nauseum. But I'm not going to hold them legally responsible for the actions of another. So let's talk about culture, and we can add assassination attempts like the one that occurred yesterday. But the purveyors or those who denigrate our culture are not materially responsible for the individual acts. They're partly responsible for the denigration of our culture writ large. And what happened yesterday is a manifestation of it.
Well, it was a politically motivated ambush attack.
Yeah. Chris in Kansasville, Wisconsin.
Yeah, the Democrats are the ones that took God out of their convention. And so I think that their little play of prayer was just a load of hooey.
All right. Thanks for the call, Chris.
They're just praying.
Oh, and virtue signaling. Sam in Cherville, Indiana.
Yeah, I want to disagree with you about the influence that politicians have on the folks. I think the left absolutely will be influenced because they see the ruling class as their substitute God.
Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly influence. There's influence. Difference between influence and culpability, I guess, was my point, but your point is a fair one. Yes, thanks, Sam. Kurt in Brookfield.
Hey, good morning. I just think this liberal narrative that's actually promoting that Republicans, conservatives, are Nazis and the devil is convincing people that it's okay to act. You look at what happened with police officers, the attack from the Obama administration, how attitudes changed towards police officers and the violence shown for them. It's like you're setting the stage that, it's okay if you attack a conservative or Republican, and that's what's got to change. Can you imagine if this was going on when Obama was in charge?
Thanks for the call, Kurt. Jay in Lowell, Indiana.
Yeah, hey, you know what? I don't go by what a politician says. My mother and father taught me to have morals, to be a responsible person, and to work hard and get what you need, not go after somebody else and blame somebody else for all my problems.
Bingo, Jay. Bingo.
You know, and being as a cop for 29 years now, guess what? It's not taught anymore. It's taught by these kids having kids. Do whatever you want, baby. It's okay. Nothing's ever your fault. So that's just my view.
And if you can't take care of yourself, the government will take care of you.
Thanks for the call, Jay. Yeah, thanks for the call, Jay. And the cops are responsible to be your surrogate parents, and the teachers are responsible to be your surrogate parents, and the politicians are going to come and give you moral instruction on living a life well lived in service to others. Yeah, right. So can we stop falling prey to their preening? Will and Skokie.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I knew this guy Hodgkinson. He's the home inspector. I am too. And
Yeah.
met him in a number of classes. He basically was kind of like your blue collar loser type who blames everybody for his problems. And of course, it's the man. It's Hillary is corrupt, and Trump. Of course, we're not going to have Trump. And he saw Bernie Sanders not so much. He wasn't leftist. I don't think he really understood much about politics. He just saw getting free free stuff and lifting up the people who deserve to be lifted up, so to speak, in his
So,
mind.
Will, have you met Hodgkins at one of the home inspector conferences?
Yeah, actually, it was a couple classes we had together.
And did you talk politics with him?
Yeah, we went to, we go to bars afterwards and talk and stuff. The guy was just a belligerent guy. He's the kind of guy that, you disagree with him and he just stands his ground and he's boom, boom, boom. The thing that bothered me, I mean, we talked about guns too. I have concealed carry, and he was, I'm surprised with his domestic issues that he had. I heard he had a couple domestic things. They never pulled his FOID card.
Right.
But that's just, government passes the law, but if you don't enforce it.
Well, but what was your interaction with him about guns?
Oh, we're talking about guns. The kinds of guns he had long guns, and he was bragging about them. I mean, if you're going to carry, but don't be a jerk about it. Don't have the carry out in front of you. Your carry is for defense, And
is that from your conversations with him? Was there anything that led you to believe that he was a little bit unhinged or off center or could do something?
Just a belligerent type.
Just belligerent.
Guy. He's the kind of guy that if you get into an argument with him, he'll never back down.
Mm-hmm.
And because damn it, he's right, and that's narrow. That's all there is to it. That kind of stuff. It's kind of like to your point earlier that the politicians have to inject themselves because they have to make sure that everybody sees them as relevant. When if they just basically backed off, people could live their lives and we wouldn't have to.
Yes.
Put up with the crap.
Thanks for the call, Will, sharing that interaction.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah, and also your other point. Yeah, a foreign concept. Political intervention makes things worse. Is that too difficult to comprehend? Dan and Wilmette.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I just wanted to say that there's definitely enough of this poking at the right and left fringes, and but it doesn't give people the right to, do what this guy did by any stretch of the imagination. But people are monetizing this, like Alex Jones on the right, and there's people on both sides stirring the pot, and they're not responsible for these nut jobs that come out of the woodwork and decide that they're being told to go get their pitchforks and storm the White House. I mean, but it's naive to say that it doesn't have some effect.
No, it has influence. Yeah, I agree with you. Thanks for the call, Dan. I appreciate that. And by the way, on the left, to complete your thought, turns out the shooter was a big Rachel Maddow fan.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Several economic reports today. Foxconn eyeing a plant in Wisconsin. Those stories are next.
Fire the stockbroker and hire yourself. I'm Larry Levin, and I've been on the trading floor for 23 years. I was one of the biggest traders in the S&P pit. I'm also the president of Trading Advantage, the leading educational firm teaching people how to become professional day traders. Now, for a limited time, I'm offering one of the trading techniques I use to make $1.9 million for free. Get started right now by calling 800-288-0092. Leave your email address on my voicemail, and I'll email you my free trading technique and my daily insider market report at no cost to you. This is the very information I use to build my fortune.
I was getting ready to retire. I still needed to make extra income, but I didn't want to work for anyone else. Because of Larry and his excellent instructors, I could trade successfully for myself, and I'll never have to work for someone else again.
Fire the stockbroker and hire the most dependable person you know, you. Again, call in the next 90 minutes and leave your email address on my voicemail. Call 800-288-0092. That's 800-288-0092.
On today's economic calendar, the latest reading on industrial production and import and export prices will also have the Philadelphia Fed Business Outlook Survey. Foxconn, the Taiwanese company that assembles Apple phones and other electronics, is considering building a plant in Wisconsin that could employ thousands of people. President Trump alluding to negotiations with an unspecified company during his visit to Milwaukee Tuesday. An appellate court upholding Philadelphia's 1.5 cent per ounce tax on sweetened and Beverages, saying it doesn't duplicate the state sales tax. And the European Commission investigating whether Nike, Universal Studios, and Japan's Sanrio are preventing traders from selling products across European Union borders and online. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern, on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Using Groupon, you can save a ton of money on what you do every day, like painting classes, concerts, escape room games, and more. Now, it's not literally a ton of money. That would be 2,000 pounds of money. It's more like saving up to $100 a week. Going bowling? Check Groupon. Taking the kids to the trampoline place? Check Groupon. Headed to museums, water slides, and tons of other nearby things to do? Use the top-rated Groupon app to save up to $100 a week on what you do every day. Download the app and save. Groupon.
Worry less with Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty Mutual saved me almost $800 when I switched my home and auto insurance.
Liberty did what?
Yeah, I got the perfect coverage for us, and I didn't have to worry about skimping on Emma's party.
Oh, well, that explains the...
Howdy! Best birthday ever!
Visit us online to get a quote. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Based on a recent countrywide survey of new customers. Coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company.
Not even halfway through this first year in office, the political left and dinosaur media actually think they're going to impeach President Trump. Fake scandal after fake scandal dominate the headlines in the cable newsrooms, and not surprisingly, it's even causing establishment Republicans to get wobbly. Yeah, guess it didn't occur to them that making America great again was going to take some work. Sometimes work is hard. You know it, though, and so does the president. That's also why we're here. We never get wobbly. AM 560, The Answer. What's happening? What does it mean? Why is it important? We've got the answer. AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
It's the single greatest witch hunt in American political history. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and that is a tweet President Trump sent out about 2 minutes ago. He said it's led by some very bad and conflicted people. This, as the report comes out, a special counsel and the Russia probe is now investigating him. Fox's Rachel Sutherland is live in Washington.
Dave, Special Counsel Robert Mueller is exploring the possibility the president obstructed justice, according to the Washington Post, which cites unnamed sources who claim the head of the NSA and the director of national intelligence will be interviewed as soon as this week. Former FBI Director James Comey testified last week that he told President Trump he was not personally under investigation. The president also tweeting this morning they made up a phony collusion with a Russian story. Now they go for obstruction of justice on the phony story, adding, nice. Dave.
Rachel, the president last night went to Steve Scalise's bedside. The Republican congressman remains in critical condition. He lost a lot of blood and the bullet damaged internal organs.
You see some of the evidence about the shooter coming out. And his politics were his religion. And that's what we have to make sure that we as Americans say, enough is enough.
Republican Congressman Rodney Davis was at the field practicing when the shots rang out. That charity baseball game versus Democrats will be played tonight as planned. The gunman was shot and killed. James Hodgkinson had posted anti-Republican rants, including it's time to destroy Trump and company. He'd been living in a van in Alexandria, Virginia for a few months, Illinois before that.
A neighbor describes him as an angry little man. In 2006, he punched a woman in the face and then dragged her daughter down by her hair. He also hit a man with the butt of a shotgun and then fired it in anger. A friend says he had a temper, but nothing like this.
Fox's Jackie Ibanez. We're learning more about the UPS driver who shot co-workers in San Francisco. Jimmy Lamb complained in March about working too much overtime. He killed 3 people, wounded 2 others, and then shot and killed himself. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Cloudy and 71 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Federal investigators are in southern Illinois. They're searching for answers, anything they can find about the man who opened fire on the congressional baseball practice yesterday. James Hodgkinson died yesterday in a shootout with Capitol Police. He's described by neighbors in the Metro East community of Belleville as an angry man who hated President Trump. Cleanup underway after severe storms damaged suburbs throughout Chicagoland, Woodstock, Evanston among them, where trees were down and quarter-size hail fell. With the backing of Governor Rauner, Republicans in the General Assembly are offering their own plan to resolve a budget impasse now in its 3rd year. AM 560's David Stewart has details.
The proposal from the minority GOP includes term limits, pension and school funding changes, a 4-year property tax freeze, a cap on state spending, and money for old state bills, plus items from Governor Rauner's reform agenda. State Rep Patty Belloc.
It's not a lifeline or a stopgap measure. It's a comprehensive, balanced budget that will provide funding for our state's most vulnerable citizens.
Since the legislature is now beyond its regular session, Republican votes would be needed to pass any budget. Democrats blame Rauner for scuttling previous compromise attempts. David Stewart, NBC News Radio, Chicago.
A suburban school board member and an administrative secretary in High School District 128 this morning are facing perjury charges related to April's election. A board member, Ellen Maurer, and a secretary, Denise Zwitt, were indicted yesterday. Both affirmed that they had collected signatures on election petition pages, while the state claims they did not. District 128 includes Libertyville and Vernon Hills high schools. Charges are pending after 4,000 pounds of fireworks were seized from a home near Lamont. The boxes discovered yesterday while officers were responding to a domestic trouble call. 6 men are charged following an 8-month investigation into allegations of drug and gun sales in Aurora. Probe involved undercover officers purchasing narcotics and weapons. Mets beat the Cubs 9-4. Orioles topped the White Sox 10-6. Bears wrapping up minicamp as the 117th U.S. Open tees off at Erin Hills. The news, a service of Staples. When it's time for last-minute changes to a big presentation, let Staples be your office away from the office. With everything you need to print, scan, or fax, access files from a USB, email, or the cloud, and use self-serve machines to avoid waiting and get back to business. Staples. It's pro time. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Are you facing foreclosure, been foreclosed upon, in a bad modification, or just stuck in a bad mortgage? Well, we may be able to help you. My name is Lou Bridges. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lou Bridges & Associates. We've been helping distressed homeowners like you for over 8 years now. We defend foreclosure actions. We bring claims against the banks and the servicers for wrongful foreclosure and other violations of mortgage servicing regulations. And we help people negotiate modifications of their existing mortgages, often including principal reductions. Give us a call. We provide free consultations. I guarantee you it will not be a sales pitch. We will give you our honest analysis, counsel, and advice regarding your options.
Hi, this is Rayanne from Lou Bridges & Associates. I am one of the loan modification processors here, and if you are in need of any additional information in regard to a loan modification, please contact the office.
Go to bridgeslaw.net or call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231.
Remember, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you'll never be alone.
When smart businesses need to grow their team, they do it on the site proven to deliver, Indeed.com. According to an independent study, Indeed delivers 5 times more hires than any other job site, more hires than the rest combined. And right now, we're giving new users a $50 credit to post a sponsored job, boosting your listing and relevant search results. Claim your $50 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Kyle is a dog trainer.
Okay, Sid. Good boy.
In his personal time, Kyle's a personal trainer.
1, 2, good.
Kyle knows how to get results, but when it comes to mortgages, he's less confident.
Guilty as charged.
Fortunately, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's simple, so he can understand the details and know he's getting the right mortgage. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Go to rocketmortgage.com today.
Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
7:07. A check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. On the Edens Expressway, the spur has delays eastbound starting past Waukegan Road. Then it's 24 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 23. Kennedy, 43 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 15 from Montrose, 12 in the Express. Outbound 37 minutes to Montrose, 56 to the airport, the Eisenhower. 52 minutes Thorndale to downtown, 35 from Manheim, outbound 40 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 2 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 48 minutes from the Tri-State, outbound 44 to 355. Ryan is 31 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State heavy, 111 to 75th. The Reagan to at North Avenue. Farther north in Kenosha, it's heavy on northbound 94 from 165 to 50. The crash of the 2 left lanes. Adams Tollway fine. Reagan Tollway slow 83 to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial heavy. Butterfield to Roosevelt and Army Trail to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, a shower or thunderstorm in spots early. Otherwise, it will be hot, with intervals of clouds and sunshine, becoming less humid for the afternoon, high 92, partly cloudy and warm tonight, low 69. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
71 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Kelly Financial Services, helping you secure your financial future today. Visit kellyfinancialservicesinc.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, well, targeting members of Congress for assassination. It's been done before in this country. Wall Street Journal had a good little compendium on other similar attacks where members of Congress were the target. 1954, Puerto Rican nationalists opened fire in the congressional chamber, injuring 5 members of Congress. Of course, Gabby Giffords in 2011. Yeah. 98, you remember Tom DeLay. He had a gunman enter his office and murder 2 Capitol Hill police officers. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Leo Ryan, Democrat from California, shot dead during his 1978 trip to Guyana to investigate Jim Jones and his cult before 900 people committed suicide. So it has happened before, but throughout the course of our country's history, it's thankfully somewhat rare. And the question is our culture today such that everybody is open season? We have a new level of toxicity in politics and the like. This is at least part of the debate that's being had. And also the question of law enforcement. Is law enforcement getting better at their job in trying to prevent these sorts of attacks before they happen? For more on that topic, we're pleased to be joined by John Legato, who is a former undercover FBI special agent and U.S. Marine. John, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And that was a great first question you asked the audience.
Well, I want to explore that with you, obviously because of your professional expertise and because of what we know about the shooter from Belleville, Illinois, his previous run-ins with the law. Now, this is maybe not a law enforcement problem on the police side. Maybe it's on the state's attorney side, but it's a question. This 2006 incident where he was arrested for domestic battery and the case was subsequently dismissed, the police report, pretty jarring, talking about him hitting his daughter and then punching a next-door neighbor who intervened and then firing a warning shot at that woman's boyfriend when he came out the door, and yet no prosecution that could have resulted in the removal of his FOID card and possibly, nothing is fail-safe, but possibly put him on the radar and made it more difficult for him to obtain guns, certainly legally.
Where do I begin? We have thousands of people on the radar. I mean, the problem, every time there's an attack, whether it's in Manchester or, Alexandria, the first question is, we knew that person was bad, or was angry, or was violent. We can't do anything. Law enforcement can't do anything. If we try to do anything, we're going to have, ACLU screaming. We are in a position. Let me give you an example. I think in London, an MI5 had 23,000 people on a terrorist sort of watch list, 3,000 of which were rated priority. What do you do? Unless we begin to hurt some feelings and do things like profile and make the watch list a stop list, this is going to continue. You have to let law enforcement do their job.
But just on this matter, I mean, as I said, this incorporates the prosecution too, the local state's attorney in St. Clair County in this case. you prosecute cases where there's a lot of evidence, and the police report seems to indicate that somebody committed a violent act, so that they're more on the radar than they would otherwise be by dismissing the case. I mean, why that maybe going back and looking at the decision making that was made by the combination of police and prosecutor to not prosecute him in that case is something that at least would perhaps provide lessons learned.
Well, you're right. I mean, he never should have been allowed to get anywhere near a weapon. But then again, you have the court systems, which are very liberal in some districts. That's when you look at the map of the United States. If you commit a rape in Omaha, you might go to jail for 30 years. If you commit it in New York City, you might get probation. So that's one problem. We have some very liberal courts, but law enforcement hands are tied. I mean, if we try to get, I don't want to say aggressive, but then we get hit down with lawsuits. Cops get fired. I mean, you can't be proactive. In my generation, listen, in my generation, if I'm watching you throw a brick at me, like I watched those cops in Baltimore who were told to stand down, you throw a brick at me, I'm arresting you for assault on a federal officer. They don't get arrested. So what is the message we're giving our youth? It's okay if illegal aliens burn a flag in front of you. It's okay if Black Lives Matter screen, pigs in a blanket, whatever. There's no consequences anymore. So what do we expect?
Well, one thing that is being praised, the actions of those two Capitol Police officers, Crystal Griner and with the other gentleman, David Bailey. Do any of your sources telling you exactly how they fought back and they took down the shooter?
Yeah, I was a Marine at Way City in '68, and I got hit 3 times. I've been in about 50 firefights. You never know what your reaction is going to be until you get your first firefight. I am so impressed with these two Capitol Police officers for, running, towards. They didn't retreat. They were calm. The female officer was returning fire while wounded. That is, I can't tell you how, being in so many firefights, the courage and valor they showed. But that brings up another issue. If they weren't there, if they didn't have weapons, it would have been, you would have had 20, 30, 40 congressmen confined in a brick dugout. They had nowhere to go. So I'm glad they were there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the investigators descended on the shooter's home in Belleville. Walk us through what the FBI would do in a case like this in combination with Secret Service and other law enforcement agencies. How does the investigation proceed from here?
Well, it's interesting. It proceeds the same way as you would a lone wolf terrorist, a jihad. You would go into that person's background. You would get their phone. You would get their Rolodex. You would check their house in every note. You would social media. You would interview everybody that they've been contacted with in social media, chat rooms. You're going to do a complete background. You're going to go back into their history. You're going to, for the mental health part of this, what triggered this guy to do this, and then you're going to talk to them, the people that are in these chat rooms, these violent chat rooms. You're going to talk to his friends, his family, his coworkers, and you're going to do 2 things. You're going to try to find out if there's anybody else out there that helped him, encouraged him, gave him ammunition. I mean, we don't know all that. ATF will do a trace of the weapons. You're going to know everything about this guy in about 2 weeks.
Well, he seemed to have had a valid FOID card, because when sheriff's deputies were called to his home in March after he was firing off 50 shots, they said he was very cordial. He showed them his FOID card and said, yeah, you know what, maybe I should be doing this at a gun range.
Well, again, see, I've been in situations where I just wanted to grab the person and cuff them. And you just can't do that. These police officers are worried about their pensions. They're worried about being sued. I mean, this is really outlandish what I'm going to say, but under different circumstances, these two Capitol police officers, had it not been so, horrific yesterday, had it been, a shooting that wasn't involving congressmen, I guarantee you there would have been a pushback about this poor guy that they shot and killed, that he was mentally ill or he had given up and he had his hands up. I mean, that's the environment law enforcement finds themselves in. It's not conducive. And who put law enforcement in this? Leaders. Our leaders did that. You had 8 years of Holder and Obama. Every time there was a police shooting, immediately blame law enforcement. So you have 8 years of that to get over.
Well, and to your point, you want to talk about rather disturbing ironies. Yesterday in Chicago, Black Lives Matter filed a class action lawsuit against the Chicago Police Department.
Of course. Then they get a trip to the White House. I mean, this is what our youth sees. This might sound out there, but ISIS youth is sort of indoctrinated from birth. And we're doing the same thing with our kids. I mean, they're taught there's no consequences for their actions. They go off to college and they're taught that they're victims of white power. I mean, they watch stuff and there's no consequences. So they feel they can do anything.
What do you think, the significance is that yet this attack happened on Republicans on President Trump's birthday? Do you think that played into this?
I don't know if the guy was smart enough to know it was Trump's birthday, but I do think that obviously, being an FBI investigator, you have some major clues here. You have the shooter going up to a Republican congressman and saying, are those guys Republicans or Democrats? That's a big clue. It is toxic. I mean, the whole thing is toxic, and you have these guys being whipped up into a frenzy on chat rooms, and you don't have anybody, saying, and we will do this now for the next 3 days. Let's all sing Kumbaya, and then we'll forget about it, and we're going to go on. We're going to go on. When I saw those congressmen and women on the House floor after I think the health care thing, chanting, la, la, la,
na, hey, goodbye, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at them, I'm thinking, people in Omaha, Nebraska are looking, these are our leaders. My God, we have a disagreement on ideology or policy, and you're taking it to the level. No wonder their rating is so low.
And those people are the same ones lecturing us on civility in politics today. Isn't it interesting? Just to the point that you were getting to about the shooter and this investigation and how it unfolds. I wonder what you would say about kind of outside influences, and we're kind of having this cultural discussion, but and not necessarily from a law enforcement perspective, but thinking about potential targets now. There's been a number of congressmen and women who've had their lives threatened, and there have been arrests made prior to this, Martha McSally in Arizona and others. And you've got a congressional recess coming up in the fall. These town halls have been very raucous. There's now discussion on the Hill about more security for more rank-and-file members of Congress. If you're advising as a security expert, what would you tell the respective caucuses to do when they go home with respect to security, with respect to town halls, and all of it?
That's a good question. They're pretty protected in Washington, at least in Congress. What they should do, each one of these congressmen have a home district. Each home district has sheriff's departments, police departments, FBI, RAs, or whatever. They need to, when they get out of that protected environment, coordinate with their local law enforcement and get some protection. Be met at the airport when they land in their home district, and this is what law enforcement does in a local area anyway. They provide that type of protection for potential targets. They need to get guns. They need to get their concealed carry. I don't think if you had a concealed carry, this is bizarre. I'm a retired agent, and I have somewhat an ability to carry a weapon, but I can't carry it on a plane anymore. Mm-hmm. Think about this. I was a Marine, an agent, a retired agent, firearms trading. I used to be able to get on a plane, walk around the magnetometers, get on the plane, And if something happened, I was trained on what to do. I can't do that anymore simply because I'm retired. So these congressmen, they could get their concealed carry permits, but they could probably be arrested for carrying it in, Congress where there's, no carry zone.
Yeah, or in places like Chicago, when you're so close to a school or a church or a liquor store, or all of the regulations underneath the licensing.
Right.
That's a fair point. He is John Legato, former undercover FBI special agent and U.S. Marine. John, thanks so much for joining us, sharing your insights. Appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, one last thing. I have a book out called The Near Enemy.
Okay.
And it goes into all of this. It's on Amazon, The Near Enemy. It goes into things that we could do to have prevented yesterday's attack, believe it or not. And it's fictional, but I use real-life events. Like if I was writing it now, I would put the fictional characters into this situation yesterday, and it says how it could have been prevented. So The Near Enemy.
The Near Enemy is the book. John Legato, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
There's so much to look forward to as the weather gets warmer. Outdoor sports and activities, backyard parties, and graduations. For your next celebration, party, or get-together, leave the eats to Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli. Whether it's around your table or theirs, Augie's is the place where sports teams, families, and friends celebrate with great food at a great price for almost 40 years. Try their signature subs, freshly made and fully loaded with the highest quality meats and cheese. Or choose from their fresh, never-frozen half-pound Angus beef burgers, authentic homemade Italian beef sandwiches, hand-rolled meatballs, pizza, and fresh salads. Dine in, surrounded by authentic rock and roll memorabilia, or phone ahead for orders to go. Whatever works for your team, Augie's offers fast, fresh, affordable food, designed to make your special time with friends and family simple and easy. Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli in Carroll Stream or West Chicago. Don't forget to check out their extensive catering menu at augustinos.com. This season, let the good times happen with Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli.
Hey, you know how secretly you want to be a rock star? Well, ChicagoRadioDeals.com can put you one step closer to living out your dream with these deals from Midlothian Music. You can bang on the drums all day with your own Tama Imperial Star 5-piece drum kit that includes cymbals, stands, and a throne for only $350. That's a $700 value. Your neighbors will love it. So pick the color that best matches your personality. Hey, create your own sound with a Casio digital piano, which feels and sounds like a real piano. This keyboard is $350 and comes with a matching stand. Or play your favorite riff on a Taylor mahogany and spruce Grand Auditorium acoustic electric guitar. This full-size handmade instrument is a gorgeous guitar, which retails for about $1,000, but it's half the price at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Midlothian Music is dedicated to bringing you the best selection of American-made, handcrafted instruments. Plus, you'll experience exceptional customer service with every purchase. Find all these rockin' deals and more only at ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
Need a new CPAP? Then we need you. We're CPAP.com, and we recently overstocked the world's best CPAP machines. Top-of-the-line devices from brands like ResMed and Philips Respironics. Call now and get one of these overstocked CPAPs for a fraction of the price. We'll even give you free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-600-5909. The best part? No insurance needed. We're giving out these CPAPs at prices so low, they'll cost less than your copay and deductible through insurance. CPAP.com has shipped over 1 million orders and has the world's largest selection of CPAPs and accessories. With no retail overhead or costly middlemen, we're the best way to get comfortable, effective sleep apnea equipment at incredibly low prices. Again, CPAP.com has overstocked premium CPAPs. Call now to get a ResMed or Philips Respironics machine for a fraction of the price with free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-600-5909. Hurry. When these overstocked CPAPs are gone, they're really gone. That's 1-800-600-5909.
Hey, trust is the most single important factor in hiring a contractor, and Dependable Construction and its founder, Joe Barron, built their business over 3 decades by being trustworthy. Tuck pointing, brick, roofing. It's Joe's specialty. You know, Joe started as a laborer and progressed to an expert tuck pointer and bricklayer. In addition to masonry and roofing, Joe and Dependable Construction has grown to become a full-service Angie's List and Better Business Bureau award-winning contractor. For brick, masonry, roofing, on residential, commercial, or industrial projects to any other type of remodeling or construction, you'll deal directly with owner Joe Barron. So call Joe Barron in Dependable Construction right now. Mention AM 560, and you'll receive a 10% discount on most jobs. Call 773-244-1091. And trust me, when you call the number 773-244-1091, you will speak directly with Joe Barron because he picks up the phone. He quotes out every project beautifully. He really is dedicated to his work. 773-244-1091 or visit tuckpointchicago.net. That's tuckpointchicago.net.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, well, just per our conversation a moment ago with John Legato, former G-Man, and a discussion of guns and self-protection, I've got to cite one Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, who in the immediate aftermath of yesterday's shooting had this tour de force.
Governor, in general, do you think anything more needs to do to protect politicians?
Well, let me say this. I think we need to do more to protect all of our citizens. I have long advocated, this is not what today is about, but there are too many guns on the street. We lose 93 million Americans a day to gun violence. I mean, I've long talked about this.
Yeah, 93 million Americans a day.
Wow. When do you think he realized that statistic was way, way off?
I don't think he has yet. Ralph and Rantoula, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning. I'm glad we're getting this call in by Monday. None of us will be left.
That's right.
Your guest on the phone, he was talking, I agree with everything he had to say, especially he made a point about police officers being afraid or maybe hesitant to use the appropriate levels of force. Well, during the incident yesterday, remember, this guy just showed up and started shooting. He instigated it. And while he was shooting, Fox News reported early on in the event that while the police were responding to him, they were in fact shouted at to shoot him, because the police were saying, allegedly according to Fox, hey, put your weapon down. Well, you know what? That time has long since passed. He picked up his rifle and started shooting people. The only appropriate response at that point is to stop the shooter.
Yeah. It's difficult to argue with that statement. Thanks for the call, Ralph.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
To borrow from Jeff Sessions, what is this? We're going to ask Matthew Whitaker, former U.S. attorney, what is this regarding the spiraling special counsel investigation into the Trump administration.
Oh, they're investigating him for obstruction of justice? Wow. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
73 degrees in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. The FBI probe into yesterday's shooting at a GOP baseball practice in Alexandria, Virginia is in full swing. 4 were shot when a gunman opened fire at a ball field, including House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, who remains in critical condition. Members of Scalise's security detail returned fire, hitting the shooter, who later died. One of the victims of yesterday's shooting, congressional aide Zach Barth, was on with NBC's Today Show this morning and says he's simply blessed to be alive.
Without them, there would have been tremendous loss of life, and I probably wouldn't be talking to y'all.
Barth saying he credits the officers who returned fire for keeping him safe. Several were hurt again when that gunman opened fire. London's fire commissioner says there are unknown numbers of bodies in the high-rise apartment building that went up in flames yesterday. 17 are known dead when the Grenfell Tower in North Kensington went up in flames. The shutdown is over at the Port of Charleston in South Carolina. Coast Guard says the major terminal that was closed over reports of a so-called possible dirty bomb will be up and running this morning. Investigators scanned 4 containers on board a ship overnight after getting word of a potential threat. San Francisco police are still investigating a deadly shooting inside a UPS warehouse. Assistant Police Chief Tony Chaplin.
Aid was rendered to folks. They were dragged to safety. So we're going to have to reconstruct that entire scene.
4, including the gunman, died in yesterday's shooting. 2 others were wounded. That shooting, again, believed to have been perpetrated by a UPS employee, Jimmy Lamb. Cleanup underway after severe storms caused damage throughout Chicagoland and its suburbs, Woodstock and Evanston among them. Suburban school board member and an administrative secretary in High School District 128, Libertyville and Vernon Hills High Schools are facing perjury charges related to April's election. 6 men are charged following an 8-month undercover investigation into allegations of drug and gun sales in Aurora. 5 of the 6 suspects were taken into custody last week. Authorities tell us they're still looking for Raymond Johnson, who faces drug charges. Mets beat the Cubs 9-4. Orioles over the White Sox 10-6. The News, a service of Accountemps. Every accounting team faces cyclical, project, and seasonal peak workloads. Let Accountemps help. Their highly skilled accounting and finance pros can quickly assist with all of your temporary staffing needs. Call them today or visit Accountemps.com. Accountemps, a Robert Half company. 7:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
Can a private company tell a musician not to play Christmas songs? This is Law and Justice with Jay Sekulow.
I was asked by my work, a private company, to do some Christmas music at a Christmas holiday party. And I told them I would be doing some Christmas songs, and told me that they didn't want me to do any songs with any religious connotations. I just wondered, can they do that?
Well, they can do it. I mean, it's a private company, so they could say we only want certain types of songs sung. But I will almost guarantee you that the reason they're doing it is they think that if they allow you to sing Christian songs and that they would somehow get in trouble. What we do is talk to the employer and tell them, look, you can allow the employee to sing this music, and you're not going to run the risk of a lawsuit from someone saying you got a hostile work environment. So what we need to do is get you in touch with our lawyers here at the ACLJ and get working on that situation right away, and we'll be happy to do it.
Learn more about keeping Christmas in our culture at aclj.org. That's aclj.org.
When a local manufacturer suffered an employee accident at their factory, McPherson Public Affairs Group was called in to handle crisis communications with the media, the general public, and the manufacturer's employees. When a local unit of government needed assistance in pushing a significant regional highway issue forward, McPherson Public Affairs Group was called in to manage the public, media, and legislative outreach campaign. When national trade associations and corporations need public outreach and communications campaigns in Illinois and throughout the Midwest, they count on McPherson Public Affairs Group to get the job done. McPherson Public Affairs Group is a full-service public affairs and public relations firm based in LaGrange, Illinois. They'll work with you to create a strategy and see it through. Contact them for a free consultation when you face public relations challenges or need media and spokesperson training for your executive team. 312-882-2473 or on the web at mcphersonpublicaffairs.com.
7:36. Let's get a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Eden's delays start at Peterson Avenue. It's 25 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 33. The Kennedy, 43 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 51. The Eisenhower, 54-minute drive from Thorndale to the post office, outbound 45 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 42 minutes. On Ryan, 30 minutes. 95th to downtown. Tri-State. Delays are northbound, 111th to 75th. Plainfield Road to 47th. And from the Reagan Toll to North Avenue. Reagan till they stop and go Myers to the Tri-State. The Veterans Memorial from Boughton most of the way to St. Charles, and from the Army Trail Toll to 290. And traffic is a service of Staples. When it's time for last-minute changes to a big presentation, let Staples be your office away from your office. With everything you need to print, scan, or fax. Access files from a USB, email, or the cloud. And use the self-serve machines to avoid waiting to get back to business. Staples, it's pro time. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. We'll have a thunderstorm in spots early this morning. Otherwise, sunny breaks throughout the day. High 92, currently 72 at O'Hare. Next news at 8, Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT. giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, meanwhile, while the investigation into the shooting is going on and the legitimate concern about the health of those who were injured, both House Majority Whip Scalise, who is in critical condition, more surgeries required.
Yeah.
AP reported last night.
Because yesterday he was in stable condition, but he went in for surgery, and they said that he had some organ damage from the bullet that entered his pelvis.
And then the two Capitol Hill police officers that were injured.
Yes, the female Crystal Grinder, she was shot in the ankle. She's in good condition this morning. And the other officer, Bailey, he's already been treated and released. He's fine.
And here's what President Trump said about those two heroic Capitol Hill police officers.
Our brave Capitol Police perform a challenging job with incredible skill, and their sacrifice makes democracy possible.
So while Trump was addressing that and he and Melania were visiting Scalise in the hospital, the D.C. press corps was busy pushing the narrative about the collusion investigation and grinding on...
Oh, it's breaking news everywhere.
Yeah, Washington Post grinding on the issue. Special counsel is investigating Trump for possible obstruction of justice, say unnamed officials. 5 people.
5, yeah.
Briefed on the interview requests issued from the special counsel, Bob Mueller, speaking on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the matter publicly, said that Dan Coates, DNI director, Mike Rogers, NSA director, and Rogers' recently departed deputy, Richard Leggett, have agreed to be interviewed by Mueller's investigators as early as this week.
Wow.
And...
Yes?
Washington Post, quoting Washington Post here, Trump has received private assurances from then FBI Director James Comey starting in January that he was not personally under investigation. Officials say that changed shortly after Comey's firing. How?
Well, CBS News was reporting that he's under investigation for obstruction of justice because of his firing of James Comey.
So here's the thing.
Nothing to do with Russian collusion, but just because he fired Comey.
So here's the thing. Dan Coates and Admiral Rogers, NSA director, have already testified before Congress that nobody tried to unduly influence them. Nobody would, by the way, include the President of the United States. Nobody suggested they do anything unethical or illegal. That's what they testified to before Congress, both Rogers and Coates. So what's new? And the Comey firing, as we've discussed, and we've had law professors from left like Alan Dershowitz to right weigh in. President Trump is within his executive rights to fire Jim Comey at any point for any reason. And the letter that detailed the reason that Comey was fired didn't come from Trump. I mean, he made a statement about it because he wanted to get out the information that Comey had told him he's not a target of the investigation. But it came from Rod Rosenstein. Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, who's in charge of the Russian collusion investigation, who detailed why he supported the decision to terminate Jim Comey because he had exceeded his authority when he held that press conference last year absolving Hillary Clinton of wrongdoing, saying that, effectively usurping the authority of the Attorney General and the Department of Justice on the matter.
It's crazy. Well, President Trump has responded this morning. He's phony story nice. He tweeted out at 5:55 a.m. Eastern time. They made up a phony collusion with the Russian story, found zero proof. So now they go for obstruction of justice on this phony story. Nice.
Well,
But who are these leakers? I mean, now 2 sources isn't enough. Now they have 5 sources telling them this.
Right. So it's almost certainly untrue, given the sources and the sourcing. But so let's assume it's true. I mean, this is why I go back to the discussion we've had intermittently over the last couple of days. Rather than sarcastic tweets, President Trump needs to address the nation straight away on this. Make a declarative offering on the entire topic and be done with it. Stop the tweeting, stop the one-offs, stop the responding to any questions at press avails, regardless of the nature of the press avails. I'm done with it. Mueller, do whatever you're going to do, go wherever you're going to go. I am indifferent. I have a job to do, a legislative agenda to push, and I'm not going to die the death of 1,000 cuts in the media for the next 3 years. I really think so, because otherwise we're going to get stories like this that are hyped by the D.C. press corps and get a tweet from the president, and that gives it an extra day until you get to the next issue. And there's an opportunity cost to be paid for spending all of this time and political capital in terms of credibility as well as just mind share on this issue.
Trump also tweeted just less than an hour ago, "You're witnessing the single greatest witch hunt in American political history, led by some very bad and conflicted people. Hashtag MAGA."
Yeah, I mean, so now that's going to be what the cable news channels obsess about all day now, because they certainly don't want to cover the political assassination attempt on Republican members of Congress by a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer, do they? Pete in Montgomery, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I don't believe the Washington Post story for a moment. At best, they're reviewing documents to close that door, period.
Yeah.
I hate to use the term fake news, but I just don't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Many people have testified in open court or open sessions of Congress saying it didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. Thanks for the call, Pete. I agree with you. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that the special counsel is hyping this either. I think it is the D.C. press corps. It is the Washington Post. It is the New York Times. 90% of their coverage about Trump since his inauguration has been negative. We've got story after story about the New York Times editors pushing a narrative onto their reporters. Now, I don't think it's necessarily unwillingly embraced by their reporters, but there's any pushback being given. But, I mean, the idea is they are going to prosecute Trump in the arena in which they operate, and they're not going to let up. The idea is to get Trump removed from office, and a little bump in the road, like an assassination attempt on a bunch of Republican members of Congress, will not stop them.
I mean, listen, look what CNN did last night. President Trump and Melania were very gracious. I thought President Trump looked very presidential yesterday, and they went to visit the congressman in the hospital, spent 30 minutes by his bedside, speaking with him and his wife, and then they left and thanked doctors on the way out. And CNN reports, he went to the hospital, but he didn't get to see him. And that was a lie, because he sat with him for 30 minutes.
Well, it's
Scalise. I mean,
where does bad reporting begin and canned reporting end? I mean,
President Trump was trying to do the right thing, and he did do the right thing, and they ripped on him and tried to bring him down anyway by making up more fake news.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I mean, it really is.
Thunderstorms in spots early this morning, but by our tea time at 2 o'clock for our scramble, it's going to be sunny and just beautiful and warm, a high of 92 degrees today. Tonight, a low of 69. And tomorrow, watch for some severe afternoon thunderstorms. Otherwise warm with some sun, a high of 88 degrees. Let's get into our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. Kennedy inbound delay start at Harlem. It is 54 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 29 from Montrose, 28 in the Express. Ohio Feeder's backed up now. The outbound side, 51 minutes downtown to the airport. Eden's 25 minutes. Lake Cook to the junction, outbound 33. The Eisenhower, 53 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 45. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 42 minutes. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive now heavy. Southbound Irving Park to North Avenue and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound Roosevelt to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State, stop and go Cicero to 31st from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Reagan Tollway from Myers to the Tri-State, the Veterans Memorial, still Boughton most of the way to St. Charles. And from the Army Trail Toll to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Come on, read the text message from Amby Davis's bowling ball. Come on, it's funny. If I
Kudos to
laugh,
DJT for not suggesting the female officer may have already been bleeding prior to getting shot. Oh, Ann B. Davis's bowling ball. No, Ann B. Davis's bowling ball, no.
Thinking of getting engaged to that special person in your life? Well, I have the perfect place for you. Visit Roland's Jewelers. It's a family-owned jeweler in downtown Libertyville. Now, Roland's engagement rings are gorgeous, and they're a direct diamond importer. That means wholesale prices on quality loose diamonds. Shopping for an anniversary or birthday gift but don't know what to choose? Roland's offers a large selection of designers like Hearts on Fire, Simon G., John Hardy, and Roberto Coin. Their knowledgeable and friendly staff can show you quality switch watches like Tag Heuer, Michel, and Lagen. Roland's Jewelers is well known for excellent customer service, too, including custom designs and jewelry repairs by their expert craftsmen. So let Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville make all of your special occasions memorable. Visit RolandsJewelers.com or call 847-918-7300. That's 847-918-7300. Roland's, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
All Nissans are created equal. It's Nissan of St. Charles that makes the difference. At Nissan of St. Charles, we go the extra mile to make sure your happiness lasts as long as you own your vehicle. Every new Nissan or used vehicle we sell comes with our exclusive Lifetime Advantage warranty. So when you get your new Nissan at Nissan of St. Charles, you'll drive with peace of mind knowing it's backed by our exclusive warranty that lasts the lifetime of your vehicle. Be sure to ask about our Lifetime Tire program. And this month only, Nissan of St. Charles is giving away a brand new Nissan Sentra. That's a new 2017 Nissan Sentra. Just visit Nissan of St. Charles by June 24th and register for our giveaway. Or visit nissanofstcharles.com for complete details. Nissan of St. Charles, located on North Avenue in the heart of St. Charles. Or visit us online at nissanofstcharles.com. Nissan of St. Charles. Experience the difference.
We're going to see him today, the one and only David Hochberg. He's vice president.
He really cuts a figure in those short shorts he likes to wear on the golf course.
Oh, his Daisy Dukes. I hope he doesn't wear them this year. But David Hochberg, he's vice president of lending at Pearl Mortgage. He'll be selling tickets for the 50-50 raffle. All right, true or false? It's easier refinancing with your current lender than it is refinancing with David and his team of Pearl Mortgage. False. Your current lender's rates and closing costs are lower than David's rates and closing costs. False. David consistently receives calls from frustrated and disgruntled listeners who wish they'd call him before refinancing with their current lender because either their loan blows up or their current lender doesn't return any of their calls or emails. David also wants you to realize your existing lender has limited flexibility in the interest rate they quote their borrowers, whereas David has over 80 lenders who will compete for your business. Let's review. It's not easier refinancing with your current lender, and you should always, always, always call David first, 312-751-1333, or visit am560david.com. David helped me and thousands of AM560 listeners, but he can't help if you don't call. 312-751-1333, or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, NMLS 19186.
Message and data rates may apply.
Would you rather get your degree from one of the most innovative online universities in the country or one of the nation's most affordable? How about both? Now you can at Southern New Hampshire University. Get degree information and see how to apply online by texting the word FRESH to 554433. College tuition is skyrocketing, making getting a degree almost impossible for too many, but it doesn't have to be that way. Founded in 1932, Southern New Hampshire University has the credibility of a New England campus, but by offering programs online, we've made education incredibly accessible and affordable. You'll discover knowledge and skills from instructors who are leaders in their field. Plus, you get all the flexibility, support, and encouragement needed to prepare you for the career you've always wanted. Southern New Hampshire University. See yourself succeed. Grab your smartphone and do the smart thing. Get degree information and see how to apply online by texting FRESH to 554433. That's FRESH to 554433.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And like after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
Have you racked up more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? You should know. The credit card companies are tricking you into thinking there's no way out. Credit card companies would rather you didn't know that there are ways you can become debt-free and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. There are debt relief programs that help people like you escape overwhelming credit card debt. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $500 million of debt. National Debt Relief has helped so many people, they're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. You don't have to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan. You have the right to settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Reduce a portion of your debt now. Call National Debt Relief at 800-518-4020. 800-518-4020. That's 800-518-4020.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. The storm season is here. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for sudden damage and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
Ever since I was little, I imagined owning a bakery. With hard work, I made it happen. But after this weekend's robbery, I realized that I need to protect my dream with security.
I've got a great answer for you. Alarm Detection Systems, your local family-owned business, understands the threats you might face. Visit adsalarm.com or call 630-844-6300 and find out how we can protect you. License number 127000143.
I manage a construction site. And the other morning, we had to send half of the crew home because of missing equipment. This nonsense is cutting into my time and budget.
Here's what you need to know. Alarm Detection Systems offers mobile security solutions that expand with your project. Visit adsalarm.com or call 630-844-6300 to find out about our alarm and video protection. License number 127000143.
AM 560, The Answer.
How much fun is Vlad Putin and his KGB colleagues? How much fun are they having at America's expense with this charade being propagated by congressional Democrats? This story from the Washington Examiner. Vlad Putin, we will provide asylum to James Comey if he's prosecuted.
Are you sure that's not The Onion?
It's
That's
not. This
Washington
is
Examiner.
from the Russian propaganda network, RT. But RT says Putin said that Comey's leaks put him in a vulnerable position, and if he's prosecuted in the U.S. for leaking his memos on his private conversations with President Trump, Comey, like Snowden, who acted like an activist, will be protected by the Russians if he wants to seek asylum there. How much fun is Vlad Putin having at our expense? Oh, my goodness. Megan on the South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, guys. I just wanted to comment about what you guys were talking about the press and stuff. You know, the Washington Post and the Times, and these papers are already failing. I mean, they've basically become tabloids now. So if they stop printing these salacious stories, then they won't exist, right? I mean, what's the point?
Yeah,
what else can they do?
Thanks for the call,
Yeah,
Megan.
I mean, and you have the New York Times this morning saying that the special counsel Mueller is investigating possible money laundering by Trump associates.
It's sawing sawdust. These are the same old charges with the same old anonymous sources. They just recycle. And the reason they do it, to Megan's point, is because Trump sells. Trump in the headline sells. Parker in Crystal Lake, 30 seconds.
Hey, I think these newspaper companies and all these media outlets, they all need to be held to a higher standard because they're really not right now. And I remember 2 weeks ago I was reading on the Daily Wire by Ben Shapiro. He, when Comey was testifying, he cited an article that New York Times posted. They had an anonymous source. And then not 5 minutes later, they pulled it back after Comey testified and didn't even say what they were going to say.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Parker. Appreciate it.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Chicago property taxes going up 10%. What can you do about it other than move? We'll ask Dan Patlack at 8:08.
And later, a restaurant that lets you catch your own dinner. But here is Mike Scott.
WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
He typed witch hunt in all caps. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump tweeting his reaction to a report he's now being investigated. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
Responding to a Washington Post story that special counsel Robert Mueller has expanded his investigation to include whether the president obstructed justice, President Trump taking to Twitter, writing they made up a phony collusion with the Russians story, found zero proof, so now they go for obstruction of justice on the phony story. Nice. Moments later, he tweeted, "You are witnessing the single greatest witch hunt in American political history, led by some very bad and conflicted people. Mueller is examining whether the president fired James Comey in order to alter the direction of the FBI's probe into Russia's alleged meddling in the 2016 presidential election." Dave?
And John, Russian President Putin again denied meddling and called Comey's leaks to the media weird and sarcastically offered Comey asylum in Russia. Last night, President Trump tweeted Steve Scalise is in very tough shape after going to the congressman's bedside hours after the shooting at a baseball field when Scalise took a bullet to the hip.
Went into his hip and then through his pelvis, so it hit a number of organs. Doctors last night saying he was in critical condition after surgery, having lost a substantial amount of blood and needing blood transfusions. More surgeries to come.
Fox's Leland Vitter. Congressional staffer Zach Barth was also among those shot back at the Capitol today. He says after getting hit in the leg,
I decide if I want to live, I need to get to better cover. So I sprint down, running for my life, sprint down the first base line into the dugout.
The gunman James Hodgkinson was shot and killed. People have described him as angry with a lot of anti-Republican and anti-Trump posts on social media. Republican Congressman Mike Bost says Hodgkinson emailed his office 9 times and called once in the past year, but there was nothing in there that would indicate what happened yesterday was coming. Fox News, fair and balanced.
73 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Federal investigators are in southern Illinois looking for any answers they can find. But the man who opened fire on the congressional baseball practice yesterday, James Hodgkinson, died yesterday in a shootout with police. He's described by neighbors in the Metro East community of Belleville as an angry man who hated President Trump and disliked congressional Republicans. Cleanup is underway after severe storms caused damage around Chicagoland, down power lines and trees in Woodstock and in Evanston. Illinois Republican Governor Bruce Rauner says he will sign the latest budget plan in Springfield if it reaches his desk. Minority Republicans yesterday offered the budget. It would raise your income taxes, but also freeze completely your property taxes for 4 years and also make big changes in workers' comp rules, consolidation of local government, and term limits would be applied on elected officials. A group of civil rights organizations taking legal action to try and force Mayor Emanuel to push for federal oversight of Chicago police reforms. It comes after Mayor Emanuel recently backed off pledges to seek federal oversight. Charges are pending after 4,000 pounds of fireworks were seized from a home near Lamont. The boxes discovered yesterday while officers were responding to a domestic trouble call, actually in Lamont Township. Mets beat the Cubs 9-4. Orioles over the White Sox 10-6. Bears wrapping up mandatory minicamp today. The news, a service of Lowe's. Father's Day is coming up. Lowe's has your gift list covered during their Deals for Dad event. Now get a DeWalt 20-volt drill for just $99. That's a $50 savings. All projects have a starting point. Start with Lowe's. Offer valid 6/14 through 6/21 while supplies last. U.S. only. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat from the Fox Business Network and a service of Turnkey.pro. Here's Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, discount fashion chain H&M says business picked up last month. Sales increased. H&M has been expanding. It had nearly 5,000 stores worldwide as of May. The president of Avon Products, Inc. is expected to step down. The company lost money in its recent quarter. Sherry McCoy runs the London-based operation that sells products outside the U.S. There's growing interest in an online version of the dollar store. Everything on Holler.com costs less than $10. The Wall Street Journal says Holler shipped its first order 2 years ago, and the company grew to be worth more than $1 million in less than 6 months. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates yesterday as expected. The Dow closed up 46 points to a record. The Nasdaq dropped 25 points. The S&P lost 2. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
When you're hiring for a growing business, you don't need lots of candidates. You need the right candidates. You need Indeed.com. With an algorithm that positions your job post where quality candidates are and screener questions that help you zero in on the best talent. Indeed.com, the site proven through an independent study to deliver 5 times more hires than any other. New users claim your $50 credit for a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Greta is a drill instructor.
Move, move, move!
Yes, ma'am. When it comes to training lean, mean, fighting machines, she doesn't mess around.
Drop and give me $3,000.
But when it comes to getting a mortgage, Greta's less confident.
I got nothing.
Fortunately for Greta, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's simple, so she can understand the details and know she's getting the right mortgage. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Go to rocketmortgage.com today.
Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
8:07 and a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. Tollway traffic is heavy. Tri-State southbound. It is stop and go from 132 in Gurnee to Town Line at 60. Adams Tollway is fairly light. The Tri-State northbound, we see delays from Harlem to the Hinsdale Oasis. Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Reagan Tollway stop and go Highland to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial. Delays are from Boughton most of the way to St. Charles, and the Army Trail toll to 290. Edens Expressway, 22 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 40. The Kennedy, now 56 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 48. About Eisenhower, 1 hour from Thorndale to downtown, 38 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 34 minutes to Manheim, an hour 5 to Thorndale. The extension's heavy. Stevenson, an hour and 8 minutes, 3:55 to the drive. Outbound 38 minutes. The Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
After an early shower or thunderstorm in spots, it will become less humid with clouds and sun today, high 92, partly cloudy night, low 69. More humid tomorrow with clouds and sun. Watch for a severe afternoon thunderstorm, which could bring flash flooding and damaging wind gusts, high 88. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
72 at O'Hare. Next news, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We'll get back to the investigation into the Alexandria shooting and shooter momentarily, but turning local for just a moment. There's a lot going on where you live, if you live in Chicago and Illinois. One of the things, and of course it's all bad. So
it's all bad. I mean, seriously, you make me want to move every day.
Well,
and I told you that my neighbor came up to me. She was walking her dog and said, every time I listen to your show, I think I should pack up and move out of Illinois.
I'm not making anybody do anything. I'm just reporting on what people in charge are doing. And if you draw the inescapable conclusion that there are better places to be, then...
And we're victimized by their bad decisions. And it keeps coming, and they keep piling on and piling on.
Well, the second installment of Cook County property tax bills is set to go out by month's end. And the good news, the average Chicago property tax bill is only going to increase by 10% this year. So, Amy, for example, in your Pritzker-like compound in Lakeview.
Right. My A-frame, my double wide.
I mean, your 7-figure spread. That's going to be a significant hit. I mean, you can afford it. You can weather it. You're a big shot. Your money doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah, right.
I got it. But for other people,
I pay more in taxes a month than I'm paying down the mortgage.
Yeah, and that's the case with a lot of people, which tells
is kind of wrong.
Well, it tells you what's happening. Here's what's happening: the government is taking your home, and so I guess at some point you have to decide if you're going to take your home back or you're just going to let the government take it. And by the way, what are you getting in return for the liquidation of your home?
Well,
maybe something to consider.
Yeah.
So the the average home in the city, the Tribune story pegs that at $224,000, pay $4,000 in property taxes this year, an increase of about $363. Suburban Cook, how about this? The average homeowner can expect to pay anywhere between 4 and 6.5% more, including in the south suburbs, where they're going to see an increase higher than the north suburbs. South suburban Cook County that has been turned into a demilitarized zone in part because of confiscatory property taxes. and they just keep piling on. And oh, by the way, what's the Southland? It is comprised mainly of minority majority communities that are all Democrats in charge. All Democrats in charge. And what are they doing to your homes, South Suburbanites? I mean, with the exception of, Keith Pekow and Orland Park and Tinley Park. With the exception of Orland and Tinley, Southwest.
Right. Robbins, Dalton, Harvey.
How is it
Cal
going?
City.
How is it going? Fort Heights?
Fort Heights. Oh, yeah.
Chicago Heights?
Ooh.
How's it going down there? How are your Democratic, local, and state elected officials serving you? Things good? Commercial property also going to see increases. And I got to tell you, there's a building going up right near me in Streeterville that's projected to be complete like sometime next year.
How much?
The ask, as I understand it, they're asking $1,000 a square foot.
What?
So you're talking about a 1,100 square foot one bedroom that's going to sell
like
for $1.1 million.
And that's not then what the monthly fees are. Yes.
If anybody thinking about this, I would just encourage you, just as a public service, go to lgis.co, which is the inventory of all the newspapers, community newspapers, news outlets I started, and look at the property tax analyses we've done of every region by region in Chicago and Cook County and the Collar counties. I got to tell you, you have to hate your money to buy in Chicago Metro right now. Even the few neighborhoods that over the last decade have not seen double-digit declines in real value, you're seeing, in the hot neighborhoods in Chicago, you're seeing like over a decade, they're up 3%, up 4%. You would be better to rent if you are going to stay here or have to stay here and put your money in the S&P. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just telling you what the math is. It's staggering. Staggering. So revolt or bolt, the operative question of the next election cycle, in my estimation. And to help us understand what, if anything, we can do other than leave or hire Madigan, Getz, and Daner, we're pleased to be joined by Dan Patlack, of course, the one Republican member of the Cook County Board of Tax Review. Dan, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan and Amy. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate being on.
So tax bills going up 10% in Chicago proper and, some approximation of that on average in the suburban areas of Cook County. What can homeowners do to reduce the punishment they're taking?
Well, Dan, just to address Chicago briefly, obviously mismanagement of the city has resulted in a series of tax increases that are going to take place over the next several years, and property owners there will be paying more as a result. But to answer your question, the Board of Review, you can file an appeal. You can appeal your assessment, and you can potentially get a reduced deduction in the assessment, and as a result, your taxes won't be as high as they otherwise would be. But the real problem is the demand for money from all different taxing districts. Now, the ones that get the most money are your elementary schools, your high schools, to a lesser extent, your community colleges. What I would suggest to people is they take back control of those local taxing districts. Put together a slate that's committed to fiscal conservatism, and take over those schools and start managing them in a more effective, fiscally conservative way.
And by the way, just on the commercial property piece of this too, just the story came over the transom. The Northbrook Hilton, so on the Tony North Shore, Northbrook Hilton just hit with a $23 million foreclosure suit. This is breaking news in Cranes. In the last 10 years, they've paid $5 million in property taxes. So you're being forced out of your corporate property, your investment in a corporate enterprise as well. And maybe that has something to do with the fact, just to repeat, that Illinois, year over year, saw corporate tax receipts down 41%, nearly $1 billion. People are not going to sit here and take it.
And Dan, it's especially important in Cook County. Unlike every other county in Illinois, commercial and industrial property is assessed at 25%, while the residential is at 10%, which effectively means that commercial and industrial property in Cook County subsidizes residential. So when a commercial property like the Hilton perhaps is forced out of business, their value goes way down. Their value goes way down, their assessment goes way down, their assessment goes way down, their tax bill goes way down. And when their tax bill goes down, everybody else's tax bill goes up. That's why it's so incredibly important. And the governor knows that this is true. It's so incredibly important to keep our commercial industrial base, not only in Cook County, but all of Illinois, so that the burden isn't spread over to the residential property owners as much as it has been.
So this is true. I heard this on ABC7. The people getting hit the hardest are Cook County members who live in Chicago, because our property taxes are going up to pay for teacher pension and Chicago firefighters and Chicago police pensions. Is that true?
That's a big bill that the city of Chicago has to pay, and they've got to get the money somewhere, and the main place they have to get the money from is local property taxpayers. And this is not something that happened overnight. The previous administration, prior to Rahm Emanuel, sold off some very large assets where they had a regular revenue stream, and now that's disappeared. So they're left with one main revenue stream, and that is property.
And, oh, by the way, the Chicago Police and Fire pensions, pension funds, both less than 30% funded, both death spiraling. They will be insolvent in 5 years. I'm telling you that right now. Mark my words, unless something structural is done. And so, again, 100 years of one-party rule, which persists to this day, and all of the support for the Democrat power structure in Chicago. How is it working for you? If you don't want to tell me now, tell me in 5 years.
This may not come as much of a solace to you, Dan and Amy. I know you're both Chicago property owners, but the truth is that up until now, and I think even with this tax increase, tax rates for residential property owners in the city have been lower for many years than the rates paid by residential property owners, in particular in the south suburbs, but also the north suburbs as well, because Chicago has had such a large commercial and industrial base.
Well, and because, and this is the Tribune three-part expose last week, which was pretty good, although they told half the story, and of course the half where property taxes are too low, not the other half. But Jim Houlihan, the former Cook County assessor, basically gamed the system to keep residential property taxes artificially low. And now you're having an effort to claw back through litigation and recoup hundreds of millions of dollars in property taxes that corporate and residential property owners didn't pay, that the plaintiffs in the case are alleging they did pay, that they should pay, I mean.
Yeah, that part 3 of the story, which talked about how since at least as far back as 1984, there was some code in their computer program that reduced residential property market values by 40%. It was interesting to read, and it wasn't such a big surprise to me because I can remember as a first-time property owner in the late 1980s, seeing the market value on my house and saying to myself, gee, I know my house is worth a lot more than that. And then talking to friends and having them say the same thing, that they thought that the assessor had undervalued their property. Well, evidently, the assessor was doing that with all residential property.
Yeah, for political reasons, but now it's flipped. And so now with the stories that we've done, the analyses that we've done of places like the West Side and the South Side, now it's the reverse, where somebody can get 30, largely minority neighborhoods, low to middle at best income. Somebody buys a house for $39,000. The assessor is taxing it at an assessed valuation of $150,000.
Right. Well, and in the south suburbs, the biggest problem, and it's been going on for many, many years, is that commercial and industrial property have been chased out. They're leaving vacant lots that are paying little or no taxes, and those taxes have to be paid by somebody, and it goes on the people that are left living in the area.
Well, so what can we do to fight back? Because a lot of us get letters every day from attorneys saying, I want to lower your property taxes, I want to lower your property taxes. But when you want to sell your house, you want your value to be worth more than it actually is. So what can we do in the meantime to try and lower our property taxes?
Well, I do about 50 assessment appeal seminars every year throughout my district. My district is the vast majority of suburban Cook County, some small portions of Chicago. And this question comes up all the time. What I tell people is this. If you have a ordinary appeal for your home, and I'm going to say that's about 98% of the appeals, you can do it yourself. If you live in the suburbs, you can get help from your local township assessor. That is the assessor from Wheeling Township or Bremen Township or Rich or Thornton Township, wherever you happen to be. They will help you file an appeal at the Board of Review. And if you come to my seminar, we give all the basic information about how to file an effective appeal. Now, some people ask, should I hire an attorney? Do I have a better chance if I'm represented by an attorney? And I tell people, I think this is simple enough. You can do it yourself. However, if you feel the need to have professional representation, and as you said, Amy, you and I and everybody else gets letters and postcards in the mail soliciting our business. If you don't want to do the work, or if you just don't feel you can handle it, then sure, hire an attorney. They're going to charge you. The charges will vary. It's negotiable. But they're going to give you good representation. However, if you think that you're going to get some sort of advantage in terms of how the Board of Review looks at the case, that's not the situation. We're going to look at every case individually and follow wherever the evidence takes
Now,
them.
the real play is to become a land developer, buy some aldermen, get your property designated in a TIF district, so you can burden shift your property taxes to the rest of the city. Like half the city is a TIF district. So you want to talk about, again, the inside connected players offloading tax burdens onto middle-income families. That's part of the story, too.
Good point, Dan. And a lot of that was done, I know, under the last administration. I'm not sure if Mayor Emanuel has kept that up or not. Maybe you know better than I do.
Yeah, well, he has. He is Dan Patlak.
Yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Well, I mean, it's just a continuation of the same old, same old.
It's a nightmare.
Dan Patlak is the only Cook County level official who's not the same old, same old. He's Cook County Board of Review Commissioner. Dan, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great being on. Thanks a lot, Dan and Amy.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Continental Audi of Naperville is out to sell 100 new Audis in June. So now is the time for you to take advantage of some great deals. Continental Audi of Naperville has incredible offers on new Audis. And Continental Audi delivers a different kind of buying experience. Straight talk and no hassle. And a huge selection of Audis to choose. You must visit ContinentalAudi.com or go to Continental Audi in Naperville now to check out these deals on an A3, A4, Q3, Q5, and even the all-new Q7. If you thought of driving an Audi, now is the time to take a test drive. Feel the difference in an Audi performance and experience the difference in an exceptional dealer. Don't miss this. Now is the time for you to buy or lease your new Audi from Continental Audi of Naperville. We're out to sell 100 new Audis in June. So hurry, ContinentalAudi.com or Continental Audi in Naperville on Aurora Avenue at Ogden Avenue, and experience the Continental Audi difference, where smiles are standard equipment. ContinentalAudi.com.
Hey, if you haven't bought a MyPillow yet, why not? Maybe you've seen them in the store, but the radio deal using my name, Amy, is so much better. It's the best deal available. And in June, you'll receive the 50% discount on a MyPillow 4-pack. So don't buy that one pillow at the store when you can get 4. 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for 50% off. And you can move the fill to give you the exact support you need, regardless of sleep position. And our friend Mike Lindell makes them in America using only American labor. So you can wash them and dry them. They're hypoallergenic, which is great because it's allergy season right now. And you'll get the 10-year warranty and 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com. Type Amy, A-M-Y, in that promo code for this 50% off the 4-pack. Or visit MyPillow.com, which I just said. Or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
Just about 24 hours ago here on AM 560, The Answer, we were reporting the awful news of a man who opened fire on a group of congressmen and senators at a softball field 7 miles from the U.S. Capitol, of course, critically wounding several, including House Majority Whip Steve Scalise.
And as the gunshots rang out, 2 Capitol police officers, we've named them, 1 female, 1 male, bravely confronted the shooter and stopped the carnage. Hero police officers put their lives on the line for us each and every day. And our colleague Mike Gallagher's nonprofit foundation, the Fallen Officers Fund, supports the families of officers killed in the line of duty.
In honor of the heroism that the Capitol Police demonstrated yesterday, please support law enforcement by contributing to Gallagher's Army, the Fallen Officers Fund, today.
Go to Gallagher'sArmy.org, Gallagher'sArmy.org, or call 888-99-I-GIVE.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
When a local manufacturer suffered an employee accident at their factory, McPherson Public Affairs Group was called in to handle crisis communications with the media, the general public, and the manufacturer's employees. When a local unit of government needed assistance in pushing a significant regional highway issue forward, McPherson Public Affairs Group was called in to manage the public, media, and legislative outreach campaign. When national trade associations and corporations need public outreach and communications campaigns in Illinois and throughout the Midwest, they count on McPherson Public Affairs Group to get the job done. McPherson Public Affairs Group is a full-service public affairs and public relations firm based in LaGrange, Illinois. They'll work with you to create a strategy and see it through. Contact them for a free consultation when you face public relations challenges or need media and spokesperson training for your executive team. 312-882-2473 or on the web at McPhersonPublicAffairs.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Why are Illinois Republicans trying to share the blame with Chicago Democrats for massive tax hikes? I'm flummoxed at 8:38.
And later, guess who's coming to Northwestern University tomorrow? Tennis, anyone? But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
73 in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. This morning, Capitol Police are investigating a threatening email sent to Republican Congresswoman Claudia Tenney of New York. The email came minutes after her colleague Steve Scalise was shot in Virginia yesterday. The email started off with, quote, 1 down, 216 to go, end quote. It appears to have been sent by a constituent in Boone County, New York. Players on both congressional baseball teams will wear Louisiana State University gear for tonight's annual charity game. LSU is the alma mater of House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, scheduled to play but now hospitalized in critical condition. The gunman who shot Scalise and 4 others was killed by Capitol Police. Several are dead following an explosion at a kindergarten in China. Blast happening earlier today. Gas cylinders exploded, according to Several reports in the Communist Party's People's Daily newspaper. Again, 7 killed, 60 may have been injured. President Trump is reportedly being investigated for obstruction of justice. You've been talking about it this morning with Dan and Amy. The Washington Post and reporter Sarah Horowitz believe they helped break that story.
What changed is that he was fired. And after he was fired, we learned the FBI began expanding their investigation, widening their investigation into possible obstruction by the president.
Director of National Intelligence Dan Coates and National Security Agency Director Mike Rogers have agreed to be interviewed by Mueller's team. The terminal at the Port of Charleston in South Carolina opened again after being cleared by the Coast Guard. The terminal was evacuated last night after a phone call warned of a so-called dirty bomb threat on board a container ship. 17 are confirmed dead following the massive fire in a London apartment block, a tower, yesterday. Emergency workers are sifting through the rubble and expect to find more casualties. San Francisco police are still investigating a deadly shooting inside a UPS warehouse where 4, including the gunman, died. Cleanup is underway here following severe storms causing damage in Evanston, Crystal Lake, and Woodstock. Chicago Board of Ethics pointing to 2 more people who broke the city's lobbying laws by contacting Mayor Emanuel through his personal email account. One man is in critical condition following a crash on Chicago's northwest side. The victim lost control, sideswiped vehicles, and slammed into a tree in the 2600 block of West Logan. Mets beat the Cubs 9-4. Orioles snapped their losing skid with a 10-6 win over the White Sox. The news, a service of Lowe's. Stop into Lowe's for great buys to get your summer garden growing. Grow tasty veggies, beautiful flowers, with 2 bags of Miracle-Gro garden soil for only $12. All projects have a starting point. Start with Lowe's. Offer valid through 6/21 while supplies last. Selection varies by location, U.S. only. 8:33, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Give Dad the perfect Father's Day gift and earn $25 in Cabela's Bucks when you spend $150 or more in-store. Shop in-store and online.
Hey guys, Ken here from the award-winning podcast Today's Growth. If you had to choose sides, which camp would you rather be in? Would you rather have time and no money, or money and no time? Did you know that 95% of U.S. adults by choice have settled into these categories? Much more interesting is that 1 out of 20 people have built their life around achieving simultaneous control of both time and money. What choices did these 5% make that the others didn't? My friends at Income Store have shown both households and businesses how to build second, third, and even fourth revenue streams for the express purpose of gaining control of time. When it comes to helping folks create their next revenue model, both Forbes and Inc. recommend Income Store as a can't miss. Could your household or business use an additional revenue model that doesn't solely depend on you? If so, you need to check out IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 1 day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
It's 8:36. Let's get a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Mike, the eastbound Eden spur is heavy from Waukegan Road to the Edens, but past that it's good. 19 minutes Lake Hook to Montrose. Southbound 31, slow 2E to Tower. Kennedy, 57 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. 41 from Montrose, 35 on the Express. Outbound 48 to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower jammed Addison Road to North Avenue with rollover blocking 2 right lanes. And so from Cicero to the Circle. An hour and 9 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Just 29 minutes from Manhunt. Outbound 38 minutes to Manheim, an hour 5 to Thorndale. On Stevenson, an hour and 8 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 38 minutes. And on Ryan, 27 minutes from 95th to the Loop. Tri-State southbound, stop and go 132 to Bradley. It's a long delay. Northbound, the Harlem to the Hinsdale Oasis, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway sluggish, lead to the Tri-State. Reagan Tollway, slow Roosevelt to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial, slow Boughton to the Reagan Tollway. After the Army Trail toll to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business. Since 1935, morning thunderstorms, sunny spots in the afternoon, high 92. Partly cloudy and warm, low 69. Overnight, 72 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Lou Bridges Show. Tune in on Saturday mornings at 8 to learn how you might fight foreclosure and keep your home.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, sticking local here. We talked about property tax increases coming in Cook County. Well, maybe a massive tax increase coming at the state level for all 102 counties. Yesterday, legislative leaders for the super minority party in the Senate and the minority party in the House, that would be the Republican Party, introduced a new grand bargain or compromise budget. The grand bargain is like the Holy Roman Empire, as described by Voltaire, neither holy nor Roman. The grand bargain, neither grand nor bargain. Here's the revised plan proffered by Illinois Republicans. 4-year hard spending cap at $36 billion a year, which is more money than we expect to take in. So, yeah. Approximately $5 billion in spending reductions and adjustments to the balanced budget, savings from reforms to pensions, across-the-board reductions to most state agencies, reductions to automatic transfers, including transits and local governments, like Local Government Distributive Fund, tap into other state funds to make use of all taxpayer dollars, not just the General Revenue Fund, to pay down the backlog of bills by about $4 billion, backlog of bills running about $14 billion.
How do you even start to pay that down?
I mean, that's the
$14 billion in unpaid bills.
That's the positive side of the ledger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know it could get any worse.
You're going to want to hold. Amends Senate Bill 9 to change the permanent income tax hike to a temporary 4-year increase contingent on a 4-year property tax freeze. So here's what it does. $5 billion tax increase that Senate Democrats passed before the end of this most recent legislative session, which would include a 32% increase in your personal income tax and an increase in the corporate tax after we're down in corporate tax collections 41% year over year. That's in there, and it's being supported by Republicans because, God forbid you let Democrats own the idea that all Springfield politicians are interested in, those in charge, is raising your taxes. Republicans want a piece of that. They don't want Democrats to share the blame alone.
Why are they doing this?
They like being in the minority, apparently, because that's what this is. This is negotiated surrender. This is not any kind of legitimate compromise deal whatsoever. You would, again, hike the personal income tax rate from 3.75 to 4.95. The corporate tax rate goes from 7 to 5. Goes from 5.25 to 7. Expands the sales tax to laundry, dry cleaning services, storage, and other services.
Good Lord.
New cable and satellite TV taxes, closing quote-unquote corporate loopholes. This is a continuation of attempting to finance a status quo you can't finance. This is not system change as advertised by the governor. And the The governor has called a special session that shall start next Wednesday, run for 10 days, basically into the fourth weekend, to get some kind of deal done. And he's suggested that property tax freeze and term limits have to be a part of it. Well, the property tax freeze they're proposing here, 4-year freeze with a referendum option to either increase or lower your property taxes at the local level. So at least you can go in both directions. But it exempts debt from the freeze. And you know how much debt school districts are carrying? So they can levy on the debt. So it's another phony baloney freeze that is not going to result in real property tax savings, even if you moved a referendum to lower it, which is no small feat. So you're still going to pay the highest property taxes in the nation. You're still going to have your home equity destroyed by government. And the good news is your personal income tax will go up by 1/3. And if you're a entrepreneurial capitalist, your corporate tax rate will go up by 20%.
Oh, it keeps getting better.
I don't understand this, because here's what Senate Democrats and the Chicago Democrats are saying. By saying, we just want to raise taxes. We don't care about balanced budgets. We don't care about unpaid bills. We don't care about anything. All we want to do is raise taxes. They're saying Rauner's not the problem. Even though they have to blame him. They're saying you're the problem. Do you get that? When somebody says, I have to take more from you, what are they effectively saying? You're not doing enough, Illinois family. You're not carrying your weight. Hey, it's not us. It's you. That's why we're taking more from you. Do you get that? And do Republicans, the Republican leadership in this state at the legislative level is so pathetic and cowardly and unimaginative, it is just mind-boggling. Chicago Democrats lording over this state for 100 years in Chicago and 40 years in Springfield, and they want to be a party to the fleecing. So that quote unquote can be seen as doing something, being part of the destruction. Because they've bought into the Democrats' game. Let's compete to see who can win the government class in the general election. We got to win the government. We got to win the public sector group. Can't win it. Can't win as a Republican. You can get some of it, and great. The more the merrier. Public sector workers, and this is not an attack on public sector workers. Republicans can't win it. So if you focus just on the crisis in government to the exclusion of the crisis for 95% of the residents of this state who live and work outside of government, you lose. You are a super minority party, which is what we are, and it's why we are what we are. Speaking as an Illinois Republican, by necessity. I mean, this is so unbelievably short-sighted. Yeah, it's difficult. As much as I pride myself on being a wordsmith, it literally is difficult for me to put this into words, how stupid this is, how cowardly this is. Christine Radogno is an enemy inside the perimeter. She's proven that. She's the Senate super minority leader. Jim Durkin is a nice guy, but like has been the case in so many of these tete-a-tetes over the years, he's clearly outmatched in terms of intestinal fortitude and, frankly, intellect by the other side. So, I don't know what to tell you. Do you think this is a good deal? It's going to keep you in Illinois? Make you want to maybe start a business here? Buy a second home? Expand an existing business? I mean, are you kidding? Alan in Rockford, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Doesn't this $5 billion just open the rabbit hole larger? At what point are the public sector unions themselves going to say, wait a minute, an extra $5 billion? We want our cut. It's going to happen.
Well, they're getting their cut because this is financing their guaranteed benefits that don't look so guaranteed as the state circles the drain. That's
right.
Their cut.
So their worry goes away when we already know that their personal incomes in retirement aren't at risk in the first place, like ours are.
That's right.
The market tanks, Our retirements go away. Theirs do not.
Right. They get to live. They get to live in the risk-free world at your expense.
That's correct.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, guys.
Sean in Elmwood Park.
Well, you've just exposed the real 1% as the municipal worker and his protector, known as the politician. Because what I like about what you're doing is you're showing they are in on it. They get a piece of the pie. You had Patlack on. You talked about property taxes. But you notice how everyone avoided the value word? You're supposed to pay your taxes on value. But look at what government has done. It's created an entire industry of lawyers to supposedly argue for the value of your property. In the meantime, they raise us in a collective raise. And now if you want to save money, you have to hire a lawyer. You have to go before a judge. You have to get their okay. And then what is the lawyer? How does he get paid? He takes a piece of
Contingency, yeah.
So you've created an industry that is really paid by taxation. So you put a system in place to raise all of our taxes, then you create middlemen. So that's why they keep failing, because that's their strength. That's how they get rich, is by supposedly fighting for us in property taxes. Where they miscalculated is the bulk that you talk about, because that's what people are doing. So you take all the people who are going to really pay these taxes, which is a small fraction of us. Those are the people that will actually move. And then you hide it with phony industries, right? So you've got Amazon comes to Illinois, $86 million in subsidies. These building of these towers in the city of Chicago, they're all financed by us, the people. They're all giveaways. 30% of them are free money, where it's subsidized Section 8 housing, must live in there. So now you want me to buy a condo where the guy next door to me pays nothing. So they're faking it until they make it. And in the meantime, they all become very, very rich, because what they do is they buy these properties backdoor and they stick to Section 8 housing. So they Tony Resco the whole system. And we sit there and they go, oh, the Republicans are good in their horn-rimmed glasses. Because when it really does hit the fan, those scumbags are the first ones out of here.
Thanks for the call, Sean. Appreciate it. Tom in Oswego.
Hey, good morning, David. I'm tired of hearing Democrats talk about trickle-down doesn't work. I'm a small contractor at commercial, residential work, a lot of it in the city. I'm heading in the city right now. I am starting to feel the pinch, because the people I do business for are building owners, homeowners. They're all getting crushed. So what do? They don't do the work that they need done. That affects me. That affects my bills. Trickle-down does affect everybody. These morons here, the government, better understand this, because pretty soon there'll be nothing to trickle down.
Thanks for the call, Tom.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
But here's the start. I don't think lawmakers should be able to make money on the side as tax appeal attorneys. Mike Madigan. Maybe that should come to an end sometime soon.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That'd be part.
Amen to that, sister.
Forecast, it's some thunderstorms in spots this morning. Otherwise, by this afternoon for our 2:30 tea time, we're going to have plenty of sunshine, some high clouds, warm, a high of 92 degrees. Then tomorrow, Friday, watch for severe thunderstorms in the afternoon. Otherwise, warm with some sun and clouds, a high of 88. Where it's always sunny is our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Well, it is Amy and Dan on the inbound Edens. It's all clear. A little heavy on the eastbound spur still past Waukegan Road, but it's 19 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 31, slow Toohey to Tower. Kennedy, 57 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 41 from Montrose, 35 in the Express. Outbound 48 to the airport. The Eisenhower jammed 355 to North Avenue. A rollover crash just cleared out of the way. It's an hour and 9 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. 29 minutes from Manheim. Outbound an hour 5 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 58 minutes, 355 to the drive. Outbound 36. Ryan, 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound still heavy, 132 to Bradley. Northbound, the 83rd Street toll to 31st, and from the Reagan tollway to North Avenue. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Hey, your kids won't be thinking about school very much this summer, but it's the perfect time for you to rethink about where your child went to school last year. Were you happy with the choices? Were you happy with the public school? If you want to go to a private school or send your kids to a private school but thought you couldn't afford it, we want to tell you about halfpriceschools.com. At halfpriceschools.com, you can get a full year of tuition at half the price, and there's no catch. Find a school near you, purchase a tuition voucher, and prepare to send your kiddies off to private school this fall. It's simple. There's schools located in Northwest Indiana, as well as Mount Prospect, Arlington Heights, Antioch, Kankakee, Oak Lawn, LaSalle, Peru. So go to halfpriceschools.com, but do it quickly. These vouchers always sell out. Halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
If you're a sleep apnea sufferer who's on the go to your phone. Because if you give us a call right now, you'll be able to try the world's first portable mini CPAP device absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP, an engineering marvel that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. Its unique design is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. No more dragging around a big, bulky CPAP. Even better, now you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights by calling minicpap.com, 1-800-300-9209. Transcend is FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. You can also add a battery pack that's as tiny as a deck of cards. So now you can enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. But don't wait. To receive your 10-night in-home trial, call minicpap.com now. 1-800-300-9209. That's 1-800-300-9209.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. The intellectual descendants of Diogenes can continue looking for the elusive honest man in D.C. Jim Comey ain't him. Instead, it's the likes of Jim Comey who've led Americans to lose faith in the federal government's police power. And it's the likes of Jim Comey who've led Americans to legitimately conclude that the rule of law has been supplanted by the rule of men. Even Comey's concessions as to his repeated cowardice was of the calculating, I'm no hero, humble brag variety. Comey is a careerist DC political character with no character. Comey is the scheming Lothario from a tawdry daytime soap who, instead of sexual conquest, seeks to seduce others for their esteem. His situational ethics leave him awash in contradiction, but who notices or much cares in a town ripped from the pages of a Gore Vidal novel? Despite his prevarications or moral pliability, or perhaps because of them, Comey can now take the meeting notes from his Hello Kitty dream diary that he did not disclose and cash them in for a seven-figure book deal to finance more romantic weekend getaways with the missus. Another happily ever after Beltway fairy tale. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Bob Ament, a founding partner of the law firm of Dassman & Ament and longtime personal customer of Signature Bank. Our firm recently left one of the larger banks to bank with Signature Bank, and it's been a refreshing change. With Signature Bank, we've been able to tailor banking solutions that fit the specific needs of our firm. Beyond that, Signature Bank is responsive, efficient, and timely in meeting those needs. If I have a request, I pick up the phone and talk to Mick O'Rourke, not someone at a phone bank thousands of miles away. Dassman & Ament needed more than what the larger banks offer, and we found that with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When your company hires or promotes employees, human resource decisions are critical. Trusted by some of the most respected companies in America, local, veteran-owned and certified Global Verification Network is a background screening company dedicated to the expert delivery of screening services for employment, property rental, and business transactions. Custom compliance screening programs individually tailored for your unique needs. Visit globalverificationnetwork.com or call 877-695-1179.
Your company's information is mission critical to your operation. With the ever-increasing demand for IT talent, smart companies depend on Archer Staffing. For over 4 decades, Archer Staffing has provided custom solutions and the highest level of customer service. For contract IT, contract to hire, permanent hire, and recruitment process outsourcing, Archer Staffing is your IT solution. For information, call Archer Staffing 312-637-5082 or visit archerstaff.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you?" You don't even look like the same person. He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
You've heard about the Coin Show. Now you need to make plans to go. Find out what collectors and investors have known for years. It's fun, full of history, and it can be a great investment. Attend the Greater Chicago Coin, Currency, and Collectibles Show. It's one of the largest in the nation, and it's free. Get to the Tinley Park Convention Center today through Saturday. Admission and parking is free. Just bring your photo ID. Hundreds of dealers, the best coin dealers from all over the country. See displays valued at millions of dollars, U.S. and world paper money, gold and silver bullion, and a lot more. This is a show for the whole family. Collectors, investors, or if you just want to find out more about coins, currency, and collectibles. This show is a can't miss. The Greater Chicago Coin, Currency, and Collectibles Show. Today through Saturday at the Tinley Park Convention Center. Admission and parking is free with your photo ID. Get more information at chicagocoinshow.com. That's chicagocoinshow.com. Don't you dare miss it. Today through Saturday.
AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah. Billie Jean, definitely not Michael Jackson's lover or any other man's. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's all right. She's
Yeah, picking up when I'm laying down. Billie
she's
Jean,
officially come out, right? I mean, Barry Manilow just did, so I don't know.
she's been inducted into the National Gay and Lesbian Sports Hall of Fame, so I think that's fair to say.
I don't want to, get anybody upset or
No,
anything.
no.
Hate to leave the show getting an email or something. from the
She's
bosses.
speaking at Northwestern University's commencement
Oh.
ceremony tomorrow, where she'll receive an honorary degree in
what?
LGBT studies or something. I don't know. And my big question to her would be,
yes,
Miss King,
yes, sir.
Are you finally willing to admit?
Oh, here we go.
That Bobby Riggs threw the match in order to pay off gambling debts to the mob. It's fine. Doesn't mean you weren't a great tennis player. Just cop to it.
All right. Thanks so much for making us part of your morning. Remember, Mike Gallagher, become one of Gallagher's army. It's fallen off.